happened? Why didn't my thing not start? Hi, everybody. I don't know if you noticed anything different about the show today, but yeah, we have a special guest in the studio today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's gonna be scolded this whole show, so get ready. Get ready. It's gonna be a the worst Real Housewives of the Insurrection you've ever seen. I easily distracted. How's the baby? How's the baby? Everybody doing okay? Mama doing okay? She getting some rest? I hope. Hope she's getting some rest. Good morning. Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to Wake and Bake with Lolo. I'm Lolo. And this is my friend. He's not my friend, actually. This is my enemy. But here he is, cutting in on my territory. Bitch. Like the little bitch that he is. Oh, there's a cat. 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 Baby good, parents exhausted, so all is well, as expected. But I'm so happy. I'm so delighted to hear that. How fun. Babies are so fun. I love babies. Hi, what are you doing? Are you What are you doing? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, I won't disturb your perfect balance, Batman. Oh, I just don't know where to begin. I don't know where I'm feeling this morning. I have to be aware that I'm getting there's some delivery person is coming with something and I have to be able to go down and get it. But I'll do that. My two babies moved out this past weekend. Oh my God, that's huge. Holy shit, Easily. You've had everything happen. Oh, I'm sending good vibes to you and love and serenity. Oh, I hope that's, I mean, obviously there are positives with that. Obviously, the negatives are, I'm sure you miss them so much. Emotional month, yes. Good morning, give me coffee. How are you doing? How are you doing? Hey, hey, how are you doing? Look, I got a friend in the, no, I got a guest in the studio today. I keep calling him a friend. He's not my friend. You're not my friend. Good morning and good night at the same time. Don't be too interesting or I'll never sleep. Kim, that's a guarantee. That's not a feature. It's a, oh wait, that's not a bug. It's a feature. I'll try to keep it on the sleep stream kind of mode, which is not hard. I can my voice can probably put people to sleep. So, oh, I love you, Kim. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Oh, what a world. What a world. What a world. What a world. There's a lot to think. You know, I really am last night we had a good space. Um and it was it was actually really good. And one of the things I one of the things I notice about times like this, I don't know easily. We're going to talk about it cuz I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't really know. I'd like to ask you guys and then we can decide together because I would be happy to do what, chat wants to do, frankly. Um, I mean, obviously, I'm tempted to listen to it because I'm obsessed with listening to assholes. But does it mean that I have to promote it and put it on the web? No, that doesn't mean that. And I pulled up this that is the State of the People stream that Jasmine Crockett suggested. Hi, butterflies. So I'm also, I don't know if this has captions. Does this have captions? Shoot, I don't think it does. I wish they had captions. Well, regardless, there is. Oh, is it here? Okay, I'll go get it. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna play you a clip from Maria Ressa. Can you tell him I'm coming? Thank you. And well, actually, I'll just play this while we're waiting.
Just um, individuals, but corporations. Again, at the top
Let
of
me do
the
this. Oh shit, I gotta
conversation, I
go.
told you
Really
that
have to go.
airports get federal funding. So part of the executive order says that um, if you get federal funding, you cannot have any DEI type programs. And so there's a lot of confusion. What people don't realize is these programs are a part of statute. They are a part of law. So no executive order can take that away. What it's doing is invoking confusion for private companies, right? Private companies are saying, well, the executive orders, are saying that I can't participate in or I can't have programs or contracts that have diversity or DBE programs in them or ACDB programs. But again, they are statute and they are law.
So in real talk, right? Because we got
Yeah.
people listening who are not caught up in all the Willy Wonkas of policy and law,
Sure.
all those things, which, you know, people always ask me, what does it actually mean, right? Tell me if this is an analogy. It means that if I go
Okay.
to Atlanta right now, I'm going through Atlanta, I'm passing through, I'm in the airport, I got 2 hours to kill. There are probably several places where I can get some chicken and waffles and other Black businesses there that are vendors that are able to be in that airport because there's a real intentionality around seeking out vendors that reflect a diverse array of business owners, but certainly offerings that now perhaps because federal funding has said you can't make those people competitive anymore, that there may be a chilling effect and I may not see the same array of diverse offerings when I get there, for example. Is that
that is a real life example. So
okay?
in our concessions industry, I focus on that. About a third of that business is run by local minority owned and women
Yep.
owned businesses. So if you go through Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport, where
Yep.
probably more than a third of the businesses are owned by people that look like me,
I
right?
know.
Women, Black owned companies,
Yep.
and remove them. So
So
think
that
about
is
this.
who we are fighting for.
That
Exactly.
is who
Thank
we are
you.
fighting for.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much for just putting a fine point on that for us. Appreciate you, Ebony, and thank you so much for being here. I realize that my time is going. I could talk to you. I could talk
And
to you
I do
all
want
day
to say
long.
this to the listeners.
Yes, 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 yes.
So we have to double click and we have to
Right.
lean in. We have to lean in and we have to think about what these policies mean and how we can fight them. And sometimes fighting them means fighting them legally. We cannot stand by. We must defend. We
Yep.
must protect these policies. If we don't come together as communities of people, of organizations, as a part of the fabric of this country, we will not have these businesses and our
Just
local
Dan is here.
economies and
Hold
our
on, I gotta put on my
communities
shit.
will be decimated. And
We
so I
just had
ask
our
them
LPF
to
friends on
lean
here.
in and thank you for doing
Entertaining
the
call.
work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. We appreciate.
Love it. I love this. Yeah, I want to talk about tonight. I do. I want to talk about tonight and whether or not we're. Hi, peace, love. Let me catch my breath a little bit. Whew. This is what we're going to be watching. So, also this morning. Boring, but it's important. Yeah. So let's see who's here. Hi. Ooh. Ooh. What's up? Good morning, Lee. Good morning, my love. Good morning, butterflies. This is it's like the ant. Well, I'll explain it in a minute. Can't listen to him, but like insulting him and when he talks. I know. Oh my God. Where's Neil? Where is Neil? He's probably been tariffed. Good morning, Just Dan. It's so lovely to see you here. I'm so happy you're here. Peace, love. Good morning, darling. Jane, good morning, my love. Oh, everybody's here. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see you guys. Yeah, I had to babysit Putin today, so it's take your dictator to work day. Take your despot to work day. Take your demagogue to work day. So here he is, little bitch that he is. We have to put up with him. I'm sorry. But I got him a shirt. I got a shirt just for the occasion since I had to babysit him. Fuck Putin. That's my new Etsy purchase. I made some Etsy purchases. Oh my god. Give me coffee. Good morning. Good morning. Oh my goodness. I'm so nice to see everyone. Oh. Muskie. Good morning, love. Oh my gosh. Old friends. Oh, seems like old times. Ooh, 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 ooh. Doo, 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 doo. Old times. I can't sing that high. Ugh, not even in my head. Anyway, yeah, so what's up with you guys? I don't know. I don't have much new going on. No, that's not true. Okay, so let's recap. Oh, hi butterflies, love. Let's recap what happened in the last 24 hours. Hi Carla. I'm laughing through the tears. Yeah. Let's see. He butt fucked crypto and the markets. The markets are actually opening pretty. I mean, they're opening pretty. I don't know what the opening is. Actually, I can tell you because I was watching it. There it is. What the hell? Oh, here we go. Here's what's happening this morning. A little bit of red. A little bit of red. Just not, So S&P, that's S&P 500. It's down 1%. Dow Jones down 1%. NASDAQ. Oh, okay. I don't think that's NASDAQ. Poor Best Buy. Oh no. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, enhance the gray. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna actually turn the little TV part off for a minute. I'm gonna turn our TV off for a second, just so we start with some. We need to start with some campfire, okay? um. So yesterday, we know he pulled a thing on crypto markets that made them kind of go crazy about announcing the crypto reserve, which is the strategic wealth fund, which is really basically a money laundering / place to store all the money this administration takes from government. That's what I think it is, because I don't know if I doubt there will be any transparency on it. I just want to say this. Okay, we are in a different country this morning. Yeah. No, I had to babysit him today. It was bring your despot to work day, Carla. And I got stuck with this motherfucker. Yeah, no. If anything, he's waiting for me to kick him in the head. Okay. The power play, actually, I'm going to make him smaller so that he doesn't get out of control. That's a good idea. Let's make you a little tinier. Okay. So I can step on your head if I need to. And so I believe yesterday was a unique day in history, and not for the right reasons. I think that the game that he played with the crypto reserve and pumping up the price, and then I think I need to find that story that indicated that there might have been some insider trading on some of the coins that he mentioned to be put into the crypto reserve, which then once the announcement was made, they could dump those shares on the high and bottom out, or basically take the gains. Insider trading, basically. That's what that is. So I would really love to to understand what the trading situation would have been from the inner circle of dump. Now, I can say that, and then I immediately remember, and this has been happening way too often, I immediately remember that we have no SEC. We have no FBI. We have no DOJ. So, from that standpoint, that was one big thing to me, is that the criming is very obvious and not even looked at. Um, Hayden Davis, who founded the Melania coin, yeah, Hayden Davis, the young man who founded or helped launch the Melania coin and helped launch the Libra coin in Argentina, through which the current president of Argentina, Javier Milei, is under investigation for fraud because he promoted this coin, which has ended up putting $100 million in the pocket of Hayden Davis because he says he doesn't know who it belongs to or how to give it to them. And what Hayden Davis has said on multiple interviews that we have watched is that him, his team, the Melania team, Trump sniped the Melania coin, and another group sniped the Libra coin, which means they bought a bunch of coins before the launch, and once it hit a high, they dumped. So, so that was a big, that was a milestone for me, just kind of criming in public. Actually, Jim, it's not that bad. I mean, it's like down 1%. It's just not that bad. It's really not. And the market's not reacting very strongly to it. The Euro stock index is down 3%, but really all the rest of it is down like less than 1%. Gold is up. Crude oil's down. Yeah, yours are way down. I'm sorry to hear that. You know what? Hold it. Don't worry. Hold it. I don't know. I don't even feel like I can say that anymore, right, Jim? I don't even think I can say, oh, yeah, you should always, hold if it's really volatile and shit like that. But I can't even say that because I don't even know what that means anymore. So that was one thing that happened yesterday that really gave me pause. And then the next thing that happened was when he turned away from Ukraine. And it's it is not clear to me that this country understands exactly what that means. And that the best example is if Roosevelt never met with Churchill and told Churchill to go get fucked and made him apologize before he gave him any help. It would be similar to that. And one can't really imagine that happening. And maybe that's our downfall. Maybe our downfall is that we can't imagine these things happening. You know? But this country is captured. This is not an administration that is trying to take this country to a more perfect union. This is an administration who seeks to destroy what we have and recreate it in an image they want. And it's not an image that benefits us, we the people. So and the choice to side, and I believe I'm watching for the next announcement where we're actually arming Russians or sending soldiers to assist. This should be just such a shocking moment in American history. This should be so shocking. I mean, I think I'm not into like the war is the answer to solve anything. If anything, I'm the opposite. Um, Yet I see a situation where a country has been invaded, and it's a country who's a friend, and it's been invaded by a hostile force. And I don't understand how anyone, I watched a Chud yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. I don't know when. And she's a very big Trump fan. And she was in tears about some video that she saw about Ukraine, and it was anti-Ukraine, and it portrayed them as barbarians and something. I don't know. I didn't listen to what she described that she saw, but she was really like, well, she's also drunk, but she was really teary, like crying about it. And it's the disinfo that has rocked this country. Now, she is stupid and more susceptible to it as a stupid racist, but regardless, there are also other people who are susceptible to that. And the fact that it is very hard this morning to hear people celebrating abandoning a free country. We're abandoning another free country. I'm losing my mind about the USAID stuff. Every single person I told everyone about in 2022 are the same people destroying USAID today. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Hi, Clark. How are you, darling? So good to see you. Welcome, love. Yeah, okay, here we go. This is it. I love it. What does Gal do when she gets upset about something? She goes back into the archives and fucking finds it. This is why you prosecute insurrection. Of course, Drunkle doesn't. Yeah, no, she doesn't. I don't know, Max Flower. What I found, and there isn't much about, was the J.P. Morgan and DuPont families. Oh, okay. All right, you guys are talking about that book. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Max. Good morning, darling. Good to see you. Mag in my area said they heard Trump is going to announce pulling out of NATO and the UN, and they're cheering it on. Yeah, yeah. This country is occupied. This country is occupied by a malevolent administration who seeks to destroy and will change our way of life. It's worse than I thought it was going to be. Everyone called us Blue Anon. Everyone said, oh, you guys, Russia, 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 blah, blah, blah. Flynn, 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 blah, blah, blah. Fuck all you. Fuck all of you. I'm convinced people helped create this motherfucking situation. Okay. The USAID operatives who are blocking foreign humanitarian aid, Mark Lloyd and Tim Meisberger, worked with Mike Flynn and Patrick Byrne during the Biden administration. What country comes to mind when you hear the names Byrne and Flynn? This is from, 2022? What is this? Byrne and Meisberger, Operation Eagle Wings. Mark Lloyd, former USAID, called Tim to join Virginia for America First election integrity program. Oh, fuck you, Patrick Byrne. It was a journalist. If I was a journalist and had been able to get the story out, I doubt these guys would be so chatty about Tim Meisberger's involvement in the 2020 election, despite working for USAID, which is internationally focused. I just want to kind of go over here. Okay. If I were a journalist, I'd contact me about this. This is from 2022. Oh, gal, you must be so mad. You must be so mad. Holy shit. Oh my God. Hilariously, if I was a journalist and had been able to get the story out, I doubt these guys would be so chatty, blah, 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 which is an reality focus. Tim Meisberger is this is Joe Flynn. Joe Flynn can suck my big D. We all know. It's an oldie but a goodie. Tim Meisberger is a world-renowned expert on election integrity, international election systems expert. I can rig that election. Here we go. Mindfuck. This is Gal's old account to Joe Flynn. You just gave it away all away. Before this, I was the only person who figured out the plan for it to use the USAID. Geniuses. You just alerted everyone else. And here I am trying to explain what your brother Sydney, Pat, and the rest of the team sedition were planning, and you just showed your hand. Ha! Where is Joe Flynn? Yeah, okay. So this is we'll watch this. Sure.
Hello, friends of freedom. Patrick Byrne here at the America Project with a special guest today, Tim Meisberger.
This is the guy that's currently in charge of
is
USAID,
quite a
right?
name in the
Oh,
field
no
of
problem.
election integrity, and we're going to be walking through one of
I
the
will
main
after we
lines of
watch this.
efforts, really about 2/3 or more of the effort of the America Project this year, something we called Operation
Freddie
Eagle's
Douglas.
Wings.
You're such a fucking
So
dick,
let me start
Patrick.
off
Fucking
by
suck
mentioning
my
that there was in Virginia last year, there was a fellow named Bishop Leon Benjamin who led the efforts as the founder of Virginians for American First. He was instrumental in bringing election integrity efforts to
Wait a minute.
Virginia. Once he launched, there was an overwhelming hundreds of signups of people
they
who
were
wanted
involved
to
with the
volunteer and
convoy.
take part. And their real interest was election integrity. It seems that around the country, this is a hot interest for a lot of people.
Meisberger is
We
who
think
just
that
fired
our
the USAID
citizens,
guy
that
who
we
wrote the
citizens
memo.
think that that we can't trust our systems, and a lot of people wanted to get involved with that. And a fellow named Mark Lloyd, a former appointed to USAID, worked with them to develop and Tim to develop a list of standards based on world standards of elections. Now that's the backup. That brings us to the fabulous Tim Meisberger, who now works with the America Project, but has had a 30-year career, originally at State Department and then at a series of NGOs around the world, setting up on election integrity and advising the world on. So Tim, welcome to the America Project.
Thank you, Patrick. I'm happy to be here. So my background, let me give a little bit of that, a little context. So
I don't care about your
worked
background. I actually don't care. It's funny. It's funny you say that because I don't give a shit. Byrne and Meisberger, Operation Eagle Wings. Mark Lloyd, former USA, called Tim Meisberger. God, I forget their names. Mark Lloyd, former USAID, called Tim to join Virginia for America First election integrity program. Tim knew in 2016 Trump was clearly the best. Let's see. All right. Binneberger, blah, blah, blah. Tim Meisberger, on January 5th, I wrote a paper for the White House comparing our elections to international standards because our elections don't compare very well. What? On January 5th, he should have been working for USAID dedicated to international projects. Dick. Mark Lloyd, who Meisberger says called him to join the Virginia for America First program with Leon Benjamin. Lloyd, appointed at USAID by John Barsa as religious freedom advisor. Oh, and he once called for an armed revolution if the Tea Party lost. Oh my God. Meisberger, a democracy and governance specialist, spent years overseas developing and managing elections and democratization programs in autocracies and emerging democracies. A 2020 election denier who, while at USAID, supported the January 6th insurrection. Yeah. Yeah. Now he's isn't all the aid spoiling or something? Is that it? Isn't all the aid spoiling? I think I didn't hear the whole story. Tim Meisberger moved to USAID on November 9th. On a call with 70 to 80 workers, he said, I know that I've been blacklisted now by the Lincoln Project and canceled by Antifa. I don't even understand that. How do you get canceled by Antifa? How do you know? Tim Meisberger was okay, blah 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 blah. And we're directing USAID not to acknowledge President-elect Biden's transition. Trump official Tim Meisberger was promoted today. This is from his locked personal Twitter. Quote, the media perpetrated hoax after hoax designed to influence the election and actively censored my political party. And we are supposed to accept in when they call the election? Never. Wow, he really went nutso. Same day, November 9th, the acting deputy administrator of the USAID, John Barsa, told colleagues that there will be no transition until the General Services Administration certifies the election results. Colleagues, DC is a really small town. Sooner or later, everyone gets outed for who they are, he told colleagues. Oh, this is into the recording. It's stunning. So until you are no longer in your role, please continue to carry out your duties with the same pride and enthusiasm you have always had for your jobs. Don't let anything distract you from the mission you have before you and the task the president has trusted you to execute. It's a small town. Comport yourself in a manner that you'll be proud of years from now. Huh? Oh, I guess that's just a picture. Is that just a picture? No, that's a recording. Oh, wait. No, it's not. It's a picture. I'm a little tired. Okay. Remember we had the cancellation? He had his cancellation meeting. I don't remember that. I know, Carly. They don't give a shit. Tim Meisberger, Mark Lloyd, and John Barsa. And now add Pete Morocco. We're starting to hear about his little name. His little name's coming up. These guys are dicks, and they're going to show their dicks. I mean, literally. Who withheld? We need some honeypots. Okay, I'm sorry. It's time to gloves off. Gloves off. Okay, there's a recording. It's not worth listening. Thanks, Gal. You're so great. Let's see. Who withheld aid to Ukraine at USAID Bureau of Conflict Prevention and Stabilization. Morocco says he volunteered to investigate voter fraud while Russia built up troops on Ukraine's border. Dick. This is from June of 22. Apparently, Pete, while in his role at USAID and the Deputy Assistant Admin of Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization, volunteered to investigate alleged voter fraud in Pennsylvania. Oh, shit. And we tried. April 2022. The insurrection was Plan B. I'm going to read this. I'm going to do the whole reading of that, like as a show, because it's 5 parts. Oh, shit. 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 Double shit. Double shit. Let's see. Do I have that? No. The US, there's another, here, let me just do this. Forgot this one. The USAID official put on leave for disseminating 2 memos about Rubio's failure to push through life-saving foreign aid was in the process of writing a 3rd memo when fired. We obtained it. It's far more alarming than the first 2. Oh, this is Sam Stein's work. All right, here we go. The memo, titled The Risks to U.S. National Security and Public Health, Consequences of Pausing Global Health Funding for Life-Saving Humanitarian Assistance, included a table of startling projections. The permanent halt of $7.7 billion in resources for life-saving global health programs, Enrich projected, could lead to the following: 12.5 to 17.9 million cases of malaria, with an additional 71,000 to 166,000 deaths annually. A 28 to 32% increase in tuberculosis globally. An additional 200,000 paralytic polio cases per year. And in a worst-case scenario, more than 28,000 cases of Ebola, Marburg, or related diseases. Enrich continued from there. The memo projected that nearly 17 million pregnant women would not be able to reach life-saving services if USAID programs were permanently halted, and more than 11 million newborns would not get critical postnatal care. An estimated 1 million children would not be treated annually for severe acute malnutrition. Let me tell you one of the things that USAID does. So I was in Liberia, and I didn't work for USAID, but I knew people that did in country and hung out with them and stuff like that. And one of the things that struck me about USAID in that context is that one of the way they work in country is there are people who are experts in, whatever, nutrition, maternal care, vaccination, whatever. There's people who are experts in health. There are people who are experts in city planning. There are people who are experts in sewers. There's people who are experts throughout USAID who have different And the other piece that they really do is that they help coordinate on the ground NGOs who are in country, help people in the cities, but importantly, not most importantly, but importantly, USAID is the reason that some NGOs can then reach rural communities where a lot of people live. And if you heard my story about the Haitian mother who carried her child to me on the path outside Jacmel in Haiti with conjunctivitis and in tears because she had no medicine and she didn't know what was happening really to her son and whether it was serious or not serious because it looked serious. So USAID is an engine that drives local NGOs to go out into those communities and help people. And if you want to fight about transgender theater or circumcision or whatever, I'll fight you on that, because that shows to me that you don't understand how the science supports working in communities using arts to change attitudes and increase safety. Because USAID is there because there's a problem in that community. They don't just go to any community, they go where the problems are. So if transgender people in Bolivia are being murdered, yeah, they're going to use all kinds of different programming to engage people in the community so that they don't kill each other. That's what that does. That's what that theater does that you all dismiss so fucking haughtily because you are so stupid. You don't actually understand how things work. It's fucking Dunning-Kruger. You're all a bunch of fucking experts, but you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And because you're so ignorant, people are going to die. And if you've ever seen a child in distress where you can't help them, you can't possibly make this decision. You can't possibly think this is okay. And if you do, damn you to hell. Damn you to hell. Damn you to hell if you think all of this is okay. Fuck you. Go fuck yourselves.
The supervisory authority has exposed the Fed to more political pressures, threatening its monetary policy independence. The Fed enjoys broad independence in its implementation of monetary policy.
I want to watch this.
But it is not unaccountable to Congress.
The U.S. House Committee on
actions,
Financial Services.
Particularly as we see the remarkable changes I've described. Our conversation today will be insightful to the Fed as it's wrapping up its 5-year review of this framework. The Federal Reserve System is an ongoing project. Congress's attention to this work is crucial as we know the actions of the Fed indirectly impact the economic well-being of all Americans. I want to thank Chairman Hill for creating this task force and Ranking Member Vargas for leading with me, and I look forward to our work together. With that, I yield back. The Chair now recognizes the Ranking Member of the subcommittee, Mr. Vargas of California, for 4 minutes for an opening statement.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for introducing me. And again, good morning to everybody else. Let me congratulate you on being named as chairman of this task force. As you know, I have a great deal of respect for you. When I first came to Congress 13 years ago, I was on the Agriculture Committee, which you chaired, and I thought that you treated everyone even-handedly, straightforward, and honestly, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to working with you and together on issues where we find common ground. Through this task force, I look forward to discussing important issues that affect our constituents in the entire economy, including the Federal Reserve's monetary policy framework review and the supplemental leverage ratio and the debate between rule-based and discretionary monetary policy. But I also plan to defend my core principles, and I know you will. 2 of those core principles are my belief in the importance of the Fed's dual mandate and the need to protect the Fed's independence. The importance first of the dual mandate As member of this task force, we're well aware that the Fed's dual mandate was established in 1977. The amendments to the Federal Reserve Act passed that year tasked the Fed with two important goals: to create economic conditions that achieve both maximum employment and stable prices. The inclusion of employment was no accident. The addition was thanks to in large part to the work of Coretta Scott King and many in the labor movement. Some have argued that the Fed's reserve dual mandate has been a distraction from solely focusing on price stability. But maximum employment should not be on the chopping block. When Congress charged the Fed with this dual mandate, it recognized that having access to a job is a signal of a healthy economy. Preventing the Fed from addressing employment would misunderstand the key way that many Americans experience the economy, and it would also disproportionately hurt working class people. Low employment harms Americans who are already living on the edge, working multiple jobs and surviving paycheck to paycheck. Chairman Powell said that the dual mandate has, quote, served us well, and that he, quote, doesn't see the case, unquote, to move forward with a single mandate of price stability. And I agree. As a ranking member, I intend to continue to advocate for the importance of preserving the Fed's dual mandate. Now, with respect to the independence of the Fed, another area where the Fed has come under increased scrutiny is its independence. The research is clear that the central banks around the world function at their best when they're allowed to operate independently. Elected officials mostly operate on a short-term horizon, responding to short-term political incentives. But the Fed must make decisions considering a much longer time horizon. That is why it is critical that monetary policy be insulated from external political pressure. The President's recent executive order requiring independent agencies to submit proposed regulatory actions, strategic plans, and priorities to the White House for review only makes this issue more important.
I don't know about that. I think history books have always been problematic.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has floated the idea
I feel like
of
I didn't
creating
learn
a shadow
nearly
Fed
enough
chair
about
before Chairman Powell's term expires
Tulsa,
in May of 2026.
Black history.
We in Congress, regardless of political party, must continue to strongly defend the independence of the Fed. The new administration has brought in a wave of uncertainty.
Just the way the camera
whether
is,
it's tariffs or the future independence of the Fed, our
it's
constituents
like
are increasingly unsure of their economic future.
All right,
we see
Mr.
it
Vargas.
in recent national consumer sentiment
What are you
numbers,
gonna do?
which have shown that consumer confidence fell by 7 points in the most recent Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Survey.
How about that?
And I'm hearing
How about
from
that?
businesses
How
in
about
my
Ashery?
district in San Diego who are increasingly concerned about the impact that tariffs and trade wars will have on the economy.
Exactly.
I hope that this task force will provide a forum for substantive debate
I guess
and collaboration on these issues that impact our constituents. I'm looking forward to it, and with that, I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Gentleman yields back, and the chair appreciates the very thoughtful discussion.
Internal screaming.
With that, the chair now recognizes the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Hill, for a minute.
Thank you, Chairman Lucas.
all
Federal
acting
Reserve's
normal.
dominance affects
Let's all act like everything's
everyday
normal.
family, business, and worker decisions in our country. And those Fed decisions, whether it's the cost of a mortgage or the return on savings or the stability of economy, plays a central role. Many Americans weren't alive during the 1970s or early 1980s, quickly learned just how devastating inflation can be at the pump or at the grocery store with this 40-year record high inflation.
Yeah,
under President
absolutely.
Biden.
Absolutely.
That's why the new
Peace
Monetary
Lord.
Policy Task Force, led by Chairman Lucas, is holding its first hearing to examine how monetary policy shapes economic opportunity and what that means for the future of American prosperity. To begin this work, we must first establish a solid foundation. Today will be a level set for our members so that we can do deeper dives during this
This is so
Congress.
funny to me.
We'll start with the fundamentals, including the Fed's monetary
You
policy
want to know what's
tools,
funny to me?
decision-making, balance sheet policy, and U.S. Treasury markets. And we'll hear how these policies have real consequences for investment, wages, and even the federal debt.
Oh, that's
Where
good. Have you
rising
ever
debt
read the
levels
book
and
Lies
interest
My
costs
Teacher Told Me?
pose a
Everything Your
growing
American
risk
History
to our
Textbook Got
fiscal
Wrong
health.
by James
I
Lowen.
look
I
forward
haven't
to our
heard of that.
witnesses' testimony today, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back.
Yeah, micro. The micro Americans don't
Chair
have the
now
will to work
today
spot. Okay,
welcomes the
micro's a fucking
testimony of
dick.
Mr.
I met
Donald
micro
Cohn,
at the San Francisco Zoo.
who is currently
He's a
senior fellow at the
motherfucking
Economic
maggot
Studies
dickhead,
at,
and he's
the
a
Brookings
dickhead.
Institute. He
In
spent
addition
40
to being
years
a
at the Federal
maggot,
Reserve
he's a
System,
fucking
serving previously
dickhead.
as vice
Dickhead.
chairman of the Board of Governors.
Fuck micro.
Mr. Joseph
Fuck
Wang
you,
is
micro.
currently the chief investment officer at
He's
the
a
Monetary
fucking
Macro
drunk-ass
LLC, a registered
abuser,
investment advisor
predator.
from 2016
That's what micro
to
is.
2021. He was a senior a trade on the open
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
market
That's a good
desk
one.
of
We
the
need a
Federal Reserve
fascist
Bank of New York.
translation machine
And
that
Norbert
generates
J.
closed
Michel is
captions.
currently the Vice President
What they're
and
really
Director of
saying
Cato
is,
Institute's Center for
fuck
Monetary
your
and
grandma.
Financial Alternatives. And
I need to
Michael
find out what's going
Kunzel
on with all
is
the
the Senior
cuts and
Director of
shit.
Policy and Research for the Economic Security Project. We thank each of you for
Well,
taking
thank
the time to
you.
be here, and each of you will be recognized for 5 minutes to give an oral presentation of your testimony. And without objection, your written statements will be made a part of the record. Dr. Cohen, you are now recognized for 5 minutes for your oral comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to be back in
Oh, you
front
look really
of this
interesting.
committee. Mr. Hill told me I hadn't aged a day in the 10 years since I was last here. I sometimes don't feel that way, but it's nice. Thank you for the
Okay,
for the
white men
compliment.
being tepidly funny.
This task
Shut
force
up.
should enhance Congress's ability to oversee monetary policy. Congress has set goals for the Federal Reserve and the conduct of policy, maximum employment.
Would the gentleman redirect his microphone a little more in the direct, please?
All right.
Thank you.
Congress has set goals for the Federal Reserve and the conduct of policy, the dual mandate, maximum employment, stable prices, but it has also very wisely
This is hilarious.
allowed the Fed to determine the best.
Can I also, I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry. It's one of those days. I'm so sorry. If you're not along for this ride, I understand, and I'll see you another time. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to interrupt. Because the way that these fucking Republicans speak about the future is so funny to me. Because either they're really good actors or they don't actually realize and haven't been read in to what the plans are. Because what I see happening is isolationism and then forcing people into work centers where they're data centers and other things, and moving towards those network states where basically corporations or individuals like billionaires have territories. And that within those territories, they're called network states. We didn't think they were real, but guess what? They're coming to a place near you. Now, are they doing it tomorrow? No, except for the fact that Elon already has 2 towns in Texas that he's doing this with. So, and the fact that they sit there and go, we want full employment. Well, yeah, you're probably going to get full employment because the fucking work centers that, and the requirements for anyone who's getting public service to work and produce. Okay? So they are describing a future that is never going to happen, especially under this administration, because that is not the interest of the administration unless it's full employment working for the kleptocrats and the donors. Right? Who are the donors? Let's think. Amazon. Right? All the tech bros. You've got Elon with SpaceX and with probably generating a lot of AI in these data centers. They've talked about data centers being all across the United States because of all the energy they're going to need for the AI and for crypto. This is not like a fantasy novel and I'm like, oh, God, hair on fire. My hair is not on fire. My hair is decidedly not on fire. But what I'm seeing is what they've talked about unfolding. Yeah. Oh, I know. She wasn't. But the fact of the matter is by design, I think these guys are not really read in. They're not read into what the plan is. And so I find this particularly galling to hear people on the Republican side talk about, oh, well, everything's normal. This is all normal. Yep, it's normal for us to. It's basically like we said to Churchill in the 30s or 40s, fuck you, we're going to side with Hitler. Literally. I'm sorry it's that stark. That's literally what we're doing. Literally. Fucking Putin is a fucking Nazi. He's a despot. He's bad. Period. to his own people. And if I think I'm the only one of these chuds that have actually been to both the Soviet Union and Russia. Okay, I was there during the Soviet time as well as the post-Soviet time. So I think, and I studied Russian history, I think I know a little bit more about this than they do. And I also know Putin's backstory. Okay? So fuck off. And I'm telling you, Max, I hope you saw my trolling this weekend, because I just got really sick to death of the fucking stupidity, but oh well. Anyway, I'm just like, I can't. Okay. All right, Doctor Conehead, let's go.
Policies to meet those goals without direct interference.
Exactly. They're going to end the unions too. Are you kidding me? They don't like unions. Are you kidding me? They're going to crush them. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be so hyper, like, whoa. I'm not trying to. I'm just angry. Because we didn't have to do this. We did not have to do this. Just pushed us back so far. And I'm not sure, I don't know what's going to happen, but I posted something last night. I'm like, what's the line for the people giving support to this? What's the line? Is it the price of eggs? Is it woke DEI? Or is it when they send their child to fight for Russia? How are they going to feel when they send their children to Russia? Because apparently this administration is all in with Putin and are helping Putin take over as much territory as he desires. That's not okay. I don't know. I mean, apparently people don't have memory or knowledge of history. Apparently they just don't.
Interference from the political process.
I'm going to smoke some weed.
That's because history shows that political pressures are invariably on one side for lower interest rates, which people facing elections see as boosting jobs. But giving in to those pressures results subsequently in costly inflation.
He's a traditional fucking put you in the gulag and poison you.
Comes responsibility.
That's how he gets rid of people that don't agree with him. So you know what? That Second Amendment thing they're so proud of, that doesn't exist
explanations
in Russia, because he knows people would shoot him.
Suggested that I might be helpful in this regard
by
by
giving an
overview of how monetary policy works. The path from policy choices on Constitution Avenue to prosperity on Main Street is a long
and I'm going to say it again. I see chuds that were embraced by other people out there protesting against deportation.
To achieve the goals soon,
where were the people who were so supportive of Lori Arnold? Like, oh, but she's really a nice person. That bitch was out there heckling an anti-Trump group in Texas this weekend, and I fucking let her have it. That woman is so full of fucking hate, and I'm saying it out loud. Lori Arnold, you're fucking ridiculous, and anybody who supports that is fucking ridiculous. But I noticed in the chat, there were no friends of hers. It was only the trolls telling her what a fucking asshole she is. But none of her little friends who were like, oh, but she's really a nice person. She's really a nice person. No, none of those bitches showed up. Fuck you. You better start saying something to people. If you're not, fuck you. I'm so angry. Fucking chuds. Fuck you, chuds. God, that made me angry. She is such a cunt. She is such a cunt. Sorry, I'm mad today. So watch out.
Policy should be altered. Since 2012, the Federal Open Market Committee has issued
I love immigrants. I just don't love illegal immigrants. Fuck you.
Strategy that defines the goals and gives some very general thoughts on the approach to achieving them. In 2020, in response to a prolonged period of very low interest rates and persistent
Fuck you and all
shortfalls
your
of
fucking
inflation,
friends.
the Fed altered its strategy. The intention was mainly to make sure that inflation was high enough to average 2% over time, which in turn would keep interest rates high enough to give the Fed sufficient room to lower interest rates should an adverse shock hit the economy. Obviously, the post-COVID recovery presented the Fed with a very different environment, and it is now reviewing its statement. Its strategy must be robust to a variety of shocks and stresses.
I love
Adjusting
this
an
guy.
overnight interest rate is the main instrument the Fed uses to make progress towards the goals. That rate does not directly affect prices
I'm gonna
or
speed him up.
employment.
Hold on.
Rather, it works
gotta
by
speed this up.
influencing prices in financial markets, which in turn induce changes in spending and the balance of aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Note how indirect this process is. Mr. Chairman, you used the term indirect, and that's exactly right. The effects of a policy on objectives will depend on how financial markets react to actual and expected policy, and then how households and businesses respond to changes in financial markets. Moreover, financial conditions and the balance of aggregate supply and demand are affected by many things in addition to monetary policy. In considering these shocks to financial conditions in the economy, the Fed needs to differentiate between those that happen on the demand side of the economy and those that happen on the supply side of the economy. Monetary policy is well suited to offsetting demand side shocks, but it cannot offset an adverse supply shock. The rise in the price of a good, say from a reduction in supply as we experienced in the 1970s in petroleum markets, or an increase in taxes on that good. Advice for policymakers in this situation is to avoid trying to offset these effects.
Yeah, I know, Tina Peters. I'm
But
surprised it took so
policymakers need to be
long.
very attentive to the
Oh,
second round
actually,
effects
I
and
wanted to
follow-on
watch
effects
this
of these
hearing.
supply shocks.
Thank you, Gal. I wanted to watch
Expectations of
this
prices
hearing
and interest
instead.
rates have played a critical
Shut up. This is the one I wanted to watch this. I'm so sorry. Yeah, okay. Hold on. This is the right to self-defense. This is about 2A. This is judiciary. Sorry. Thank you, Gal.
What we're going to do is we're going to swear in the witnesses. So, and I would just say this too, without objection, all other opening statements will be included in the record. And now we'll introduce today's witnesses before we swear them in. Mr. Doug Ritter is the founder and chairman of Knife Rights, a nonprofit organization that advocates on behalf of knife owners. Formed in 2006, Knife Rights advocates at the federal, state, and local levels and engages in litigation to challenge unduly restrictive laws pertaining to the possession and ownership of knives. Ms. Diana Muller is the founder of Women for Gun Rights, a nonprofit organization that advocates for gun rights, education, firearm safety, and violence prevention. She's a retired police officer, having served 22 years with the Tulsa, Oklahoma Police Department. Mr. Dave McDermott is the founding partner of the McDermott Law Group, a firm that specializes in criminal defense and personal injury cases. He's litigated criminal justice cases for more than 27 years and specializes in self-defense cases. Mr. Gregory Jackson is the former deputy director of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. He's a community organizer, advocate, and campaign strategist. We welcome all of you today. We appreciate your time coming and sharing your expertise with us. And we look forward to hearing from you today.
Yeah, they're trying to force the governor in Colorado to give Tina Peters a pardon. Because extortion is the way they govern.
Raise your right
hand. Is the way they govern.
Do you, each of you, swear or affirm under penalty of perjury
Sounded like
that the
effort
testimony
beginning
you are
among
about to give
state
is
reps,
true
state
and
Rs,
correct to
from
the
what
best
you
of your
posted,
knowledge,
Max, not an
information, and
accomplished
belief,
thing.
so help you God?
Yeah, it's not
Thank you. You may
accomplished.
be
They are just
seated,
trying to do it.
And the record will reflect
They're
that the
trying to do it with the fucking
witnesses
federal
have answered
aid.
in the affirmative.
That's extortion.
I want you to know that
That's
your
not
written
governing.
testimony will be entered into the record in its entirety. Accordingly, we ask you to summarize your testimony in 5 minutes. And what that means is
that can't
about
be right.
15 seconds
Okay, that
before, I'll
cannot
just
be right.
give a couple of raps so you know that it's time to wrap it up.
Is
And
that
then
what
once
it
you hit the
sounds like
5
when
minutes,
you do that? Is that what it
I'll
sounds
hit
like?
a little harder.
Thanks.
So you know that you're approaching filibuster
Morning,
territory.
Badger.
And then at some point
Knives
I'll
and
just have to
forks. Who's the fork expert?
interrupt. And I'll try not to interrupt because we do want to hear what you have to say. Our
Why is
first
she
witness
wearing
today is going
a
to testify is
kitchen
Mr.
towel?
Ritter. You may begin.
Why is that woman wearing a kitchen towel as a
Chairman Biggs, Ranking Member McBath, and members of the committee, thank you for inviting me to testify about
There's a
the
lot
Knife
of
Owners
moms demand
Protection
action
Act, or
people.
COPA.
Yay.
This bill is common sense criminal justice reform that would protect law-abiding knife owners when they are traveling throughout the U.S., despite whether they are traveling through states or localities with restrictive knife laws. Please indulge me for a moment for a hypothetical. Imagine a chef is driving across the U.S. to cook at guest appearances, perhaps from or in your own districts. The chef has numerous knives in his vehicle, that many of which may exceed some arbitrary local
Carl, I just noticed you're
length
out for an
limitation.
errand.
Now imagine the chef is stopped by
Apparently
the
it
police
is.
for,
Apparently
I don't
now we're
know,
worried
a
about
broken
knife
taillight.
owners because they
And the
can't get
police
on a
officer
plane
asks,
with their Bowie
do
knife.
you have any weapons in the vehicle? The chef, being the responsible citizen that he is, discloses that although he doesn't
Literally,
consider
Neil,
them
we were
weapons,
all wondering
he
where you
has
were
knives
this
in his
morning.
vehicle. This simple scenario could result in the chef being arrested, and it could result in severe consequences for the
God,
chef
Jim, that's
and in turn
terrible.
for his family. COPA would protect our chef from unnecessary encounters with the police, which too often end in tragedy. This bill is the right policy for everyone. It levels the playing field for all. This is why knife law reform measures have received bipartisan support in many states. Under COPA, if possession of the knife is legal,
Neil, I don't
where
know
the
what
journey
the
starts and
billboard
ends,
is.
and the knife is locked up in accordance with COPA, a knife owner would no longer be
Pull yourself
threatened with
together.
arrest simply for traveling from one place to another, even if they have to pass through
This
a
feels like this could
jurisdiction
have
where
been
the
an
knife is
email.
illegal.
Okay.
Currently,
This could have
those
been
who
an
travel
email.
across the country with knives for work and recreation are subject to arrest and prosecution under a very confusing patchwork of inconsistent state and local laws and regulations.
Well,
What
Neil,
is
you should go
perfectly
back to the
legal in
part
one
where
place
people were
may be a
wondering where you
serious
were,
crime
'cause
just
there's a lot
over
of
the
love
border
there.
of that jurisdiction and can
It's
carry
nice to be missed,
significant
isn't it?
penalties,
Nice to be
including
missed.
jail time.
I think
Moreover,
it's nice to be missed. I wish
enforcement
I
is
was
not
missed more
uniform,
often. I
even
think
within
that'd be nice.
jurisdictions. In response to this problem, over the past 16 years, 51 criminal justice reform bills have been enacted in 32 states to repeal bans on various knives that are possessed for work and recreation. And most have had bipartisan support. In fact, the knife reform legislation has been passed in 7 of the 10 states represented on this committee, 5 of them with bipartisan support: Georgia, New York, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin. Other states already do not ban knives of any sort, yet some states and many other localities still have knife bans on the books. Virtually all of the existing knife bans were instituted against the background of racial bias after the Civil War in the late 1950s. We also know all too well that minorities and the economically disadvantaged are too often inappropriately stopped by law enforcement, sometimes with tragic consequences. This bill simply ensures that owners with their knives locked up in accordance with this proposed law are protected and not subject to unjust prosecution for possessing a knife that is legal in the vast majority of the states. Knives are one of humankind's oldest tools possessed and carried by hundreds of millions. They are carried daily by law-abiding laborers, truck drivers, campers, hikers, sportsmen, and sportswomen, and many others as they travel this great nation. COPA would simply provide safe harbor to someone traveling with knives where it is lawful for the knives to be possessed at both points of origin and destination, so long as the knives are transported in accordance with the specific requirements that keep them inaccessible during the intervening travel. These knives will not be a threat to anyone since they are required to be locked up. This bill cannot be used to protect bad actors. If someone transports a knife with the intent to commit an offense that is punishable by imprisonment for more than 1 year, that person cannot be protected by this law. Also, COPA does not override TSA regulations. I strongly urge everyone on this committee, Republican and Democrat alike, to support COPA. This is not a partisan bill. It is a balanced solution to the difficult patchwork of knife laws throughout the United States. COPA is a criminal justice reform bill that protects innocent knife owners while ensuring bad actors are not shielded. I look forward to answering any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ritter. And now we'll recognize Mr. Jackson for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Biggs, Ranking Member McBath, and members of the committee for inviting me to be a part of this important hearing. I'm Greg Jackson, the former Deputy Director for the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention that led our country to a 25% reduction in homicides during the Biden-Harris administration. I spent the last decade of my life working to address gun violence from across the country, and from teens lost in shootings at festivals in Baltimore to bowlers in Lewiston. It is crystal clear that gun violence is shattering communities across our country and stealing from America what President Jefferson acknowledged as
Yeah,
our
I want
natural
that guy to
rights
have
of
a
life,
sword.
liberty, and the
That guy
pursuit
I
of
just showed
happiness.
on screen.
As someone raised on a farm in
Protect
rural
his
Virginia,
rights.
some of my earliest memories were hunting with my father and celebrating the rich heritage of his first rifle, a Winchester Ranger shotgun, as he handed it down to me. But in 2013, my life changed forever when I was caught in the crossfire when walking home in Washington, D.C., and the bullet that struck me left me within 50% of dying that night, and one of the hardest nights of my life by far. But since I was shot, more than 1 million Americans have been shot or killed by this crisis. Students in elementary schools, worshipers in churches, senior citizens in grocery stores, and even fans at Super Bowl parades. You know, every year over 140,000 Americans are shot, and that's equivalent to double the crowd of the Super Bowl. That's equivalent to our entire active duty for the U.S. Marine Corps being shot every single year. And this is now the leading cause of death for youth in America, and also a leading cause of death for pregnant women in America, and now a leading cause of newly disabled Americans. And during the height of the pandemic, gun deaths surged, increasing homicides by 45%, and even gun suicides by nearly 10%. And as the nation mourned in 2022 when mass shootings struck in Buffalo and Uvalde, activists like myself and those sitting behind me demanded action. And we saw Democrats and Republicans step up and work together to pass the first law in 30 years, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. This bill took important steps to advancing our background check system, making gun trafficking a federal offense, and prohibiting gun purchases from domestic abusers. It also invested $15 billion, which created the largest investment in youth mental health, adding 14,000 school-based mental health professionals to our schools, creating the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and also provided historic investments in law enforcement and community-based violence intervention programs across our country. And after signing this law, President Biden created our office to implement this law, to expand partnerships, to improve services for those impacted, but also to identify new ideas. And when we saw things like 76% of school shootings coming from guns in the home, we worked with the Department of Education to launch the first ever school-based safe storage campaign. When we saw Glock switches terrorizing communities in places like Birmingham, we worked with ATF to shut down over 350 websites that were selling these Glock switches to Americans from China. And we took innovative approaches to address this crisis within the bounds of the law and the Second Amendment. But most importantly, our actions saved lives. In 2023, we saw a 12% decline in homicides. And in 2024, we surpassed those reductions, bringing down homicides by 14% and a 10% reduction in violent crimes. And these reductions were actually steepest in major cities that had tough gun laws and had strong leaders resourcing law enforcement and community-based strategies. Boston went down 80%. Greensboro, down 41%. Milwaukee, down 42%. Philadelphia, down 36%. Baltimore, down 22%. The state of Arizona, down 50%, the steepest decline in that state's history. And even places like Miami saw the lowest number of homicides since the 1950s.
God damn it.
There's no accident. This is no accident when we see these numbers. This is a direct result of strong gun laws and strong investments in strategies that we know work and can save lives. And frankly, I'll close with this. I mean, these percentages and data, I think for so many people, you hear them and you see them as numbers, but we know there's more than numbers. In 2023, I lost my mentee, DeMarcos. He was literally on his front porch after basketball practice and was shot and killed as a bystander. I mean, you literally sit next to a strong leader and champion, Congressman McBath, who lost her son to a fatal but preventable shooting. And we know that with every number and every life we save, that's one more family that gets to go to a wedding instead of a funeral, that gets to attend a baby shower instead of walking to a hospital to decide if their loved one has been lost. And so we stand proudly by this work. We know that these gun laws and these resources, they save lives, they make our family safer, they make your family safer, and they make America safer. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to recognize Mr. McDermott for his 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Biggs, Ranking Member McBath, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to share my experiences as a leading self-defense attorney in this country. My name is David McDermott. I've been a private criminal defense attorney for 27 years. I'm the founding partner of McDermott Law Group, which is also referred to as Not Your Typical Attorneys. Over the past 10 years, I've focused on a niche area of defending people after they've had to defend themselves. I refer to these cases as self-defense cases, although a prosecutor's office refers to them as murder cases, attempt murder cases, or a host of other cases stemming from criminal charges. I provided legal representation to hundreds of people throughout the country, both before and after they've been involved in self-defense incident, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that's litigated more of these cases. I have appeared on or in multiple news channels, podcasts, magazines, radio shows, and newspapers to discuss these cases and answer questions on self-defense laws. I've given countless lectures in front of thousands of people in multiple states throughout the country on the issue of self-defense, and I've garnered a nationwide reputation for consistently securing not guilty verdicts after asserting self-defense on behalf of my clients. A good number of people that I've represented in this matter are U.S. Concealed Carry Association members, also known as the USCCA. USCCA is one of the largest and fastest growing organizations dedicated to educating and training responsible gun owners. I'm a proud member of the USCCA and one of the critical response attorneys for over 860,000 members nationwide. Training and education are paramount to being a responsible gun owner, and in my opinion, nobody does this better than the USCCA. This type of exposure and knowledge helps to navigate through these stressful and highly intense situations, to better understand what people should and shouldn't do, and where necessary, to save lives in the process. I'm incredibly passionate about what I do for a couple reasons. First, I believe in what I do. I believe in a person's constitutional right to defend him or herself as well as others. Second, I was a victim of a random act of violence, which also allows me to personally relate to the fear my clients describe when they find themselves involved in these situations. At the age of 17, I was walking with my then girlfriend, now wife, Dana, one of my sisters and new friends, when a large group of gang members ran over to us. As they grabbed the hat off the head of one of my friends, I quickly turned to my sister and Dana and told them to run. I was certain we were about to be attacked. As soon as I could say this, though, I was hit very hard in the head with a blunt object. I immediately went down to my knees as I was beaten repeatedly with a lead pipe and baseball bat. Dana and my sister were held at gunpoint as these gangbangers continued to beat me bloody. As luck would have it, a police officer happened to drive by in the parking lot next to where this was happening, and the gang members quickly dispersed. Nobody wakes up and says, I hope today's the day where I get attacked, and I wonder if I'm going to die. Unfortunately, these acts of random violence happen more than we want to believe. We often see or hear about these incidents in the news when we turn on the TV or the radio. With such a focus and emphasis on violent crimes, it comes as little surprise that more and more people have decided to purchase firearms to defend themselves. Unfortunately, many people find themselves in situations where they're forced to defend themselves and then being criminally charged after doing so. My firm has had 5 self-defense jury trials set this month alone. The first of these trials was scheduled to start yesterday, but as luck would have it, we were able to convince the prosecutor to dismiss the case against our client. I have no shortage of exposure to these types of cases, which is why I'm excited to be in front of you, to share some perspective as to what happens after someone has been involved in a self-defense shooting. I often say this with self-defense shooting cases. You can go from being a victim of the aggressor to being a victim of the system as quickly as you pull the trigger. Our system is flawed when it comes to self-defense, as there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to this topic.
Look at that
the fact that we lack uniformity in our nation's laws is a significant contributing factor.
Look at this Amazon
For example,
hair.
if you're being attacked and you reasonably believe you're about to receive great bodily harm or death, some states require you to attempt to run or flee from your attacker before using lethal force to defend yourself.
That's Amazon hair.
While others allow you to stand your ground.
That's Amazon hair.
Whether and how
These
you
little
can defend
gun
yourself
rights
shouldn't come
bitches.
down to what state you're in. Everyone should have the right to defend themselves in the same way. The disparity between these different rules of engagement concerning self-defense has caused a lot of confusion. From my personal experience, this confusion is not merely confined to people outside the legal profession, but people in the legal profession as well. I've seen attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, and even judges that have been mistaken about the self-defense laws of the jurisdiction in which they practice. If this isn't bad enough, there's such a negative stigma concerning firearms in this country. Many people believe that all firearms are bad, some even going so far as to believe that people that own firearms are bad as well. Many believe that they shouldn't be able to carry or to defend themselves with firearms. Some of these people that share these beliefs are judges. Others are potential jurors. Imagine being the victim of a violent attack, being robbed, being carjacked. Imagine you reasonably believe you're about to receive great bodily harm or death. Imagine that the only way to stop this threat is to shoot the attacker. Imagine protecting yourself under these circumstances. Now imagine a legal system that is divided in terms of how it perceives this incident. A system that regards you as a criminal after defending yourself. A system that arrests you. A system that criminally charges you. A system where attorneys and or judges don't always apply the correct law. A system where you are being prejudged merely because you own a firearm and or because you chose to protect yourself with that firearm. This is not the system we want for the people of the United States.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Just
I welcome
chill
any
out,
questions.
David Blaine. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott. Now we recognize
Take
Ms.
a
Muller
minute.
for her 5 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Biggs and
He's
Ranking
an
Member
ambulance
McBath
chaser.
and Raskins. I'm Diana Muller. I'm a
Oh, here's-
22-year retired police
here's
officer
the-
from Tulsa
here's the
Police
Amazon
Department.
hair
I'm a
lady.
national and world champion shooter and a founder of Women for Gun Rights, a nonpartisan organization dedicated to
nonpartisan?
safeguarding the Second Amendment.
What?
It's an honor to represent the countless women who have experienced unthinkable tragedy and crime like murder, rape, domestic violence, and stalking. Their stories are absolutely horrifying, but underscore the importance of our organization and the desire of citizens to protect themselves and their families. Everyone in this room, Democrat and Republican, red shirt or teal shirt, we all have the same goal.
Girl, shut the
We
fuck up.
all want to be safe. Women for Gun Rights believes that education is the key to firearm safety
Yeah,
and
that's
violence
it, 'cause
prevention.
people learn so well
Women
in
are the
this
fastest
country.
growing group of gun owners in our nation, and for good reason. We are smaller and less equipped for violence, and firearms level the playing field in an attack from a larger, faster assailant.
I mean, I'm
Women
sorry
are
he got
choosing to
jumped.
carry to protect
I
a
know,
life,
like-
not to take a life. I applaud
I'm
the majority
sorry.
for having
That's
this hearing,
terrible.
highlighting
That
the
doesn't
positive
equate to
attributes of
this.
guns and gun ownership, and welcoming input from people with experience with firearms, with training, and with violence.
Girl,
With 22 years
that
of
shit doesn't work.
in the police work,
Shut
I
the
can
fuck
tell you
up.
that you are your own first responder. On February 22nd of 2024, Lake and Riley went for a jog in broad daylight on a campus in a nice area. She was physically fit, she's brilliant, she's beautiful, but she had no idea the evil she would meet that day. She fought for 18 minutes to save her life. I've been in fights, and 2 minutes is a long time. She fought for 18. She was her own first responder, but she didn't have the tools to come out a victor.
So you're saying if
One of
Lake
our
and
best
Riley had a
tools
gun,
is our mind and how we prepare.
Really?
That is critical for survival. Words have power, and each of you have influence in your communities. If you are telling women that they cannot protect themselves, or that she's more likely to have a gun taken
we're
from her and
asking-
used against her,
that's not actually
you're
what we're
creating a
saying.
victim.
Aren't we
Women for Gun
saying
Rights is intent on
responsible gun
empowering
ownership?
women
I don't
and
think
creating
this is that.
victors,
I need to
not
know the background
victims.
on this.
Stop telling women
What's
they
the
can't.
act that they're trying to talk
They
about?
can. For example, one of our delegates from New Mexico was asleep in bed. Middle of the night, a serial rapist let out early.
This is ridiculous.
Broke into her home, attacked her in bed. He had a firearm. She fought him, gained control of his firearm, and shot him 3 times and ran out of the house. The gun that was intended to harm her saved her life. On the other hand, you have Amanda. She was prepared. She had a concealed carry permit, she was a self-defense person, and she parked next to the campus police station. But one night, going to her car, a violent attack happened. He raped her. Not only did he rape her, he went on to kidnap, rape, and kill his 3rd victim. He's in prison now, but Amanda is confident if she had not been legislated out of the opportunity to protect herself, her story and the other girl's story would have come out differently. The law, the common sense law that was supposed to protect her, was the law that made her a victim and caused her pain and another to lose her life. I implore you, stop working against women and start empowering them. If you want to save lives, I respectfully request that this body fund training for our citizens, especially women, to learn how to avoid conflict and survive an attack with any tool she deems fit for the job. It's her body, it's her choice, right? I'll close with this. The Second Amendment and self-defense, for that matter, should not be a partisan issue, but it seems like the Democrats have coalesced against it.
Fuck you.
I, for one, am encouraged by the efforts of this Congress and this administration to restore
know.
our constitutionally protected
love,
freedoms and make guns
you like
great
to be ruled
again.
by a daddy. I get it.
Thank you.
Whatever
The
your
chair now
kink is,
recognizes
nobody
the
else
gentleman
needs
from
to
Wisconsin,
suffer
Mr.
under
Tiffany,
it.
for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDermott, I take it you're from Chicago in the Windy City, right?
That's correct.
Tell us everything. So I'm just north of you in Wisconsin. Everything I understand is that you have some of the toughest gun laws in the country,
Oh
in
boy,
the city of
this
Chicago.
guy's such a dick.
In certain respects, but we also have the right to stand your ground. So yes, we have tough gun laws, but when it comes to self-defense, we do have the right to stand your ground, although most people don't know that.
Have those
Then
tough
why
gun
are
laws
we-
made Chicago safer?
Well, that
Not in my
sounds like
opinion,
a
not at
PR
all.
problem.
Unfortunately, there are, as I'm sure you know, approximately 120 firearms in this country for every 100 citizens. A lot of those firearms are in Chicago. There was a period of time where the
How do you
vast
know that?
majority
How do
during
you know
COVID were
that?
being purchased out of Illinois.
What the hell?
So we
This
have
guy
a
is
tremendous
not
amount
data.
of firearms
There's
that are
no
being
da- this is
purchased to
feelings.
combat the firearms that are already
We got-
in
oh, boy.
existence there. More and more people
We're
are being
already
attacked
there.
violently in Chicago. More and more people are in serious fear of being attacked by those individuals, and they're trying to, as best as possible, arm themselves against the
And
situation.
yet those tough gun laws have not reversed that trend, is that correct?
Not in any way.
Okay. Ms. Mueller, do gun-free zones work? We see gun-free zones, you see the signs
Wait, I'll
regularly,
wait for
schools,
me
other
to
places like that. Do gun-free zones work?
Mama,
No, sir, they do
teach your
not. They are
boys to
actually
not
the
be
opposite of what
rapists.
they are intended to do. When you see a gun-free zone, 94% of mass public shootings happen in gun-free zones. They are killers.
Where's
They
that data
empower
from?
criminals to come after people and
94%
basically
of
shoot
gun
people in a
deaths
barrel,
happen
shoot
in
fish in a
gun-free
barrel.
zones? Wait a
They are
minute.
killers.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of school administrators say to me that just give us the
94%
option to be able to not put that sign,
94%.
gun-free zone, on the front of our school, and it actually would make it safer. Do you agree with those school administrators?
I absolutely
Oh my
agree.
God,
I
I'm
believe that if you
dying
put
right
the
now.
sign
I
that
don't
said that there were people armed in there and people weren't
94%
actually
of
armed,
gun
that would make
deaths.
your school safer.
I want to talk to you a little bit about you, and the final page of the testimony that I saw from you in regards to mental health. I really find it very interesting where you get into psychotropic drugs and things like that, and how much we give this to people. And in particular, I'm concerned about the amount of psychotropic drugs that are given to boys in like 6, 7 years of age in kindergarten, first grade, to control their behavior, and I believe it's rewiring their brains. Now, I don't have scientific evidence of that, but I think we should be doing some research in regards to it. Tell us what you
there's-
think
funny
are
you
some
should say that.
solutions
There are people that do
for,
research. I
that
just
could be
pulled something
helpful to prevent some of these shootings that happen as a result of mental health breakdowns.
That's a great question.
Oh, are you gonna fund
I do,
mental
and I'm
health
not
care
a doctor,
now?
and
Is
that
that-
is a
is that
deep,
something you're
deep
gonna do?
well that you just
Okay.
dove into. But I do know that when you tell me that there are black box warning labels and that it causes homicidal and suicidal tendencies, that's pretty much a no-brainer as to why don't we look and do some studies as to how these drugs are affecting our kids and even our adults. So I would like research in that area.
Do you, have you not found much research? Because I haven't either, and it
Really?
seems
'Cause
to me
I'm
it's
looking at
something
something
that
right now.
there should be, you know,
And
you
it
think
says
about the
48%
National Institute of Health
of
and
the
how
150
they've
active shooting cases that were
swirled
studied
or,
in this small study, 48% were
I can't
determined
use
to have
that
occurred in a
term here, the
gun-free
dais,
zone. Well, then,
how they've
hello.
wasted money, the American taxpayers' money. It seems
Doesn't
like
sound-
something
first
like
of all,
this would be a
their
really good
number
research
probably isn't
project,
large enough.
especially at some
But
leading
there's a study from the
universities
Lancet.
around
I
America.
mean, I've got one
isn't
right
there much
here.
more research that needs to be done?
Well, and I'm
mean,
glad
the
that you
la-
brought that up
hello?
because it seems like there's
hi,
one-sided research.
oh, here
in-
we
in
go.
several different
Findings from the
areas.
Crime Prevention
Not
Research
only in the
Center-
mental health
Center?
and how it affects guns, but
this?
also just the gun-related deal. Because the CDC did do a study in 2013, and the numbers that the saves, that's what's missing from
that?
this conversation.
there's a bunch
is
of
that the
studies
number
on
of
it.
48,000
They'd all say
deaths
different things,
annually from
actually.
firearms-related causes
really have to do
is a
your
horrible number.
homework on media
But you guys are
literacy
leaving
for
out the
these.
conversation, the number of
Summary
saves.
evidence, what's that?
That study, I think it said 3 million, up to 3 million saves annually. And if we're going to look at apples and apples, yes, 45,000 deaths is terrible. But when you compare that to
But-
the 3 million that it saved, we
What?
should be having that conversation
Excuse
as
me?
well. It's disingenuous.
How about your child?
Thank you in regards to that.
And it's scrubbed from the
and-
CDC.
and
It's
Mr.
no longer there.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, I think that we should be following up with
Oh, here we
the
go.
administration to try to get better research in regards to this and get
Okay, let me tell you. I'm looking at a story from the AP, which I will link in the thing. Claim more than 90% of all mass shootings have happened in so-called gun-free zones. AP's assessment, missing context. The off-cited figure comes from a study by a gun rights advocacy group that gun violence experts say is flawed. They say the study draws from federal data on active shooter incidents, which is not the same as a mass shooting. It also excludes gang-related incidents, yet includes military bases and other locations that aren't arguably gun-free. There is no definitive data on how many mass shootings occur in gun-free zones because there's no consensus on how to define either term. Okay, you know what? Like, come on. This post-truth world, the disinformation is what is killing us. I'm sorry. The disinformation is what makes all of this possible. All of it. Turning on Ukraine. Fucking Medicaid. Fucking Medicare. Medicare is going to be... People have said that payments may be delayed or not available. Think about that. Elmo is going after Social Security. This is wrong. Leaving Ukraine, leaving our allies, and turning to people who kill their political opponents openly, Navalny, is wrong. So to Gal's point, these Congress people should stage some kind of fucking action that stops the madness and requires the conversation about how wrong this all is. I mean, Gal rightfully was upset because literally Ukraine has just been left to perish. And that kind of monumental shift is really eclipses a lot because it will change everything if we enter a war alongside Russia. It changes everything. Yeah, I thought women were too emotional for guns. I'm going to skip ahead because I can.
More important ATF is.
Okay, wait, I'll go
there are
back
real
because
limitations to what local law enforcement
I would like
can
to
do.
Go back to your question.
Statistics, and we know that the majority of those crimes are committed with chef's knives.
Sorry.
So if you want to ban knives, maybe take everyone's chef's knives away.
I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes the ranking member, Ms.
Knife
Thank
guy,
you, Mr. Chair.
just get out of
just
here.
before I ask my questions, I
up
just
to
want
us,
to
waiting
say,
for-
in
No,
reference
of
to what
course.
Mr.
I'm just
McDermott
saying
said,
yes and,
is
Pepper.
absolutely
Oh,
the
no, I'm
truth.
saying
It's
yes
correct.
and.
The guns coming into Illinois, we know specifically are trafficked from outside that state, as that's happening all around the country. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention made demonstrable improvement in reducing gun violence in America. In its first days in office, the Trump administration eliminated the office, threatening the progress that we've made in gun violence. Mr. Jackson, my questions are for you. If you can be succinct, because I have a number of questions for you. The Trump White House shuttered the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. What work won't happen as a result of that?
Well, there's no longer a team that's focused every day on getting the resources to life-saving strategies. We talked about domestic violence, but one of our jobs was pushing over $450 million to states to help them implement strategies to remove firearms from domestic abusers. But now, without our office there to oversee the dollars getting to the communities needed, implementing and expediting laws or executive actions, frankly, processes will be slowed and unfortunately lives will be lost.
Please tell us how state and local governments have taken up the mantle of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the results that we saw federally, when we started the administration, there was only one statewide Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Now there's 14. There were only 20 at the city level. Now there's 140. And across the country, watching cities and states think about how do they prevent violence, looking at an all-of-government approach. Not only keep guns out of the hands of those who are most at risk or most vulnerable, but how do we invest in mental health, behavioral health, community violence intervention, crime, gun intelligence, law enforcement to reduce violence.
Some Republicans are attempting to defund federal law enforcement, including the
Yes,
Bureau
Muskie,
of
I heard that
Alcohol,
too.
Tobacco,
I'm gonna try
Firearms,
and
and
find it too.
Explosives,
Hold on.
the ATF. How important is the ATF to state and local law enforcement's efforts to solve violent crime and protect our communities?
When we traveled the country, we heard firsthand from local law enforcement how important ATF is. There are real limitations to what local law enforcement can do. And we looked at, for example, ATF prosecuted over 680 gun traffickers. Like Mr. McDermott said, guns that are moving from one state into another, ATF is the team that can prosecute and get those criminals off the streets. They also made sure that 4,600 domestic abusers were prohibited from getting firearms and made sure they didn't purchase firearms through the enhanced background check system. So the ATF is crucial to look at how guns are moving across states and causing harm, but also looking upstream at how do we hold traffickers, gun dealers, and the manufacturers accountable.
Thank you. And everyone is affected by gun violence. Have rural communities been receptive to these CBI programs?
Rural communities have heavily embraced our work, and frankly, when we think about gun violence, it's homicides and suicides are such a devastating part of this problem. But we know that suicides are most intensely impacting older white males in rural America. And that's why our office partnered with the Department of Veterans Affairs, even connected with the Department of Agriculture, to think about how do we educate our older Americans about lethal means and safe storage, but also start to empower families on how they can leverage tools like extreme risk protection orders to ensure that their elder family members are safe even in those moments of crisis.
So what more should we be doing to support state and local law enforcement?
Well, we have to continue to invest and resource them. And we had a roundtable with President Biden with police chiefs from across the country. And the number one thing that they said supported their work was having true community partners. And that's where investments in community violence intervention and victim services played a huge role in ensuring that it's not just law enforcement trying to solve this problem, that we have health departments and doctors and community organizations and schools and principals all equipped with tools and resources to prevent violence before it happens. So we have to keep building on that. We have to strengthen the full ecosystem that's working together to keep our communities safe. And we can do that by passing the Office of Gun Violence Act that will create an office beyond the White House, but also just protecting those important investments through the appropriations process.
There's been so much success, but we also have so much more to do, and we have to keep going. We have to continue to make sure that we're keeping all of our communities safe. I myself, having been exposed to gun violence directly, I care about everyone's community. I don't care what side of the aisle we sit on, we have to keep our communities safe. I have a unanimous consent request. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by Alicia Ibaraji entitled "More Than Half of U.S. Teachers Think Being Armed Would Make Students Less Safe," reports findings, published by CNN on May 21st.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Gentlelady's time has expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the witnesses being here today in attendance. Ms. Mueller, are you familiar with the ATF zero tolerance policy that was implemented by Biden's ATF?
I've
heard of it.
What are
What
some
do
of the
you think of it?
consequences of taking these aggressive enforcement actions, do you think?
Well, I'll
heard of
begin
it,
with, I'm a professional shooter, I'm not an FFL, but what I do understand, and I hear from people who are FFLs, is that the Biden administration and the way they went to, it wasn't a partnership anymore, it was more of an adversarial relationship, and therefore it really hurt the relationship between the FFLs and the ATF. So I think it was a mistake, and not really going after
aren't
the
those
right
the federal
target.
firearm
Yeah, I mean,
licenses or something where they can sell
They're usually our front
guns,
lines,
like
right? I mean, they're
private
keeping
traders and shit
prohibited
like
buyers
that.
off of the purchasing
Right? I
rolls,
think that's
if you
it,
will.
right?
So I would think working with the ATF would be beneficial, but often I think it looked like it was adversarial, and some of
know,
the
Pep,
FFLs were
that's the
targeted
thing,
in many ways, I think, by the ATF. So it was counterproductive, really what they were intended to do and what they should have been.
I'm just going to jump ahead when he's done. Can we talk quickly about tonight? Because I was going to show the speech, but I'm tempted to show something else. instead. I don't know. How do people feel? Would you rather it's a blackout and I don't go live? Or would you rather we watch it? Or would you rather we watch something else in place of it? Because I'm happy to do any of those things. Yeah. So think about that. And you don't want to watch it, SB. Okay. And Pepper doesn't either. All right. Well, then we're not going to. I mean, I feel like that's going to be a consensus. But let me know. I mean, I'm sure we'll have to hear about clips of it afterwards anyway, so it's not like we're going to escape it completely. But there's no need for us to waste our energy on it either. Maybe we should watch a movie. I guess we could do, it is Documentary Tuesday, so technically we could watch a movie. Jane doesn't want to. Butters, look up Lolo's link. Oh, yeah, Butterflies, go up to that link, Old Pam Bondi on taking the guns. You want to see the protest? What film is planned for tonight? You know, I hadn't even planned a film for tonight. That's how terrible it is. I don't want to watch it, but I feel I need to. Yeah, I totally understand that. We'll know what happens. Yeah, we will know what happens no matter what. I think I will find a good alternative. And I'll still go live, but it won't be the speech. How about that? Does that sound like a plan? And I'll try and figure out what we can show on YouTube so everybody can watch and we don't get shut down. How's that sound? Yeah, I guess it's kind of a State of the Union. I don't know. They haven't been calling that. Cabaret is, oh yeah, cabaret. Yeah. Oh, very low volume. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. It's hard for me to tell because I sound perfectly loud in my head. Thank you, Butterflies. All right. Sorry, just a little big noise. My poor little microphone struggles. Struggle bus. It's on the struggle bus. Oh, not me. Very low. Oh, very low volume. I get it, Butterflies. I turned myself up anyway. Blech, blech.
Okay, were any of those things struck down?
Here we go. Let me go back.
The ranking member of the entire
There we go. Now we'll go right to Raskin. Hell yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Jackson, guns are the leading cause of death for young people in America. Guns are, I learned from you, that the leading cause of death for pregnant women in America. They are the leading cause of disabilities for newly disabled people. I learned from you. I know that the U.S. Has more firearms than people.
I do not know, Teresa.
And I know that, excuse me. I know that we've got a firearm homicide rate 25 times higher than other comparable wealthy countries. Now, I hear the argument that because our society is swimming in firearms, that people need more firearms to defend themselves. Of course, people have a constitutional right to purchase a handgun to defend themselves, right? Under the Heller versus District of Columbia case. Isn't that right?
Correct.
So people have that right. So it seems to me that the argument that is being advanced is a huge non sequitur. The claim is being made, pushing an open door, that people have a right to a gun to defend themselves if that's how they choose to defend themselves. And therefore, we shouldn't do anything else to try to limit the staggering amount of gun violence in society. Now, you're here to tell us that the Biden administration saw great success. Will you just give us what were the major elements of that success in reducing gun violence?
Right. I mean, just to build on your statement, I mean, if guns made us safer, we would definitely be the safest country in the world, considering how many firearms are in our communities.
There you go.
But we knew that gun violence is about more than just solving a crime. It's about preventing a health crisis. And so we looked at strategies to help victims heal, investing in the Crime Victims Fund, and VOCA.
Another smart, sexy
investing
man.
in violence
God, I
intervention
love
programs
smart,
and law
sexy,
enforcement
compassionate
crime
men.
intelligence strategies.
Oh my
were
God.
any of those things struck down as violative
find that so
of
attractive.
anybody's Second Amendment rights?
No.
Okay, so why isn't everybody celebrating across the aisle that we actually saved thousands of lives through the things the Biden administration did without violating anybody's Second Amendment rights?
It baffles me because I think we should all have the same goal of saving lives. And
Yes.
we now have a strategy that has been proven for 2 years in a row to save historic lives. And our cities are frankly, I mean, Boston had an 82% reduction. I don't know how we can even debate.
82% reduction in
homicide.
gun homicides.
Yes.
So can you explain this to me? People have a right to a gun to defend themselves. Everybody agrees to that. You never challenged that, did you, in your office?
Correct.
Okay. And why is it that people are taking the position we shouldn't be doing anything to reduce gun violence other than selling more guns?
You know, I think frankly there's, you know, the gun industry is big business. We talked about there being over, 20,000, 30,000, 25,000 FFLs. And frankly, that may not sound big to some folks, but that's enough to fill Madison Square Garden. And there's a lot of profit to be made in selling firearms, but we've seen firsthand that that's not how we prevent violence.
Thanks, Teresa. Slotkin
Guns
from
don't make
Michigan
us safe. Preventing violence is what makes us safe, and that's what we proved that has worked.
You're right,
So,
Pep. Let's
the
do
whole
it. We're not
point
going to watch it.
of the
We're going to
social
watch something
contract,
else.
If you read John Locke or Hobbes or Rousseau, anybody who wrote about the social contract, is we'll be safer coming together with laws than we would be if we were just in a state of war, a state of violence against each other. So if we're talking about how to promote self-defense, aren't the laws that you're talking about themselves instruments of self-defense and community safety?
Correct. I mean, I think we should always focus on preventing a conflict in the first place. I mean, we talked a little about stand your ground laws here today, but I'll be upfront with you. If I tried to stand my ground when I was shot, I'd be dead. Because evading is the number one way to move.
What about, there's so many of these spectacular mass gun shootings at schools and Walmarts and so on, where there were armed guards around, right?
Correct.
And there are lots of cases where they just go right through the guards.
And we think about Uvalde, where we had hundreds of law enforcement, where we had Buffalo, where armed folks engaged the shooter and lost. And we have to realize that the way that we can truly save lives is preventing someone from walking onto a campus or approaching senior citizens in a grocery store in the first place.
Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Kiley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to bring to the committee's attention what is the single most radical attack on the Second Amendment that we have seen in a long, long time. It is a bill
Trudeau is live?
that was just introduced in the California legislature, AB 1333.
It's a good, goddamn good thing, Kylie, you don't live. Oh, you do live here. That's right. God damn it.
And what this bill seeks to do is to effectively overturn the Castle Doctrine, to say that it is no longer a justifiable form of self-defense to defend a habitation or property. Now, you might say, well, okay, something crazy is being proposed in California. What else is new? But one of the advocacy groups for this measure, in fact, that by all reports seems to have written the measure, has stated that this bill is, quote, a blueprint for the rest of the nation. And so I think it is worth taking very seriously the outrageous affront to the Second Amendment that this measure represents. Even jurisdictions that have the weakest protections for the Second Amendment and for the right to self-defense have generally upheld the Castle Doctrine. Even states that impose a right to retreat, let's say, when you're confronted with deadly force, still maintain the basic view that your home is your castle and you have the right to defend yourself if there is a home invasion. After all,
isn't self-defense
if you're
different?
Confronted in your home, where are you supposed to retreat to?
I mean, is that, come on
I mean,
now.
let's just try to get our minds around the absurdity of this idea. You're asleep in your home in the middle of the night.
Jesus Christ.
A burglar breaks into your home, is heading to the room where your young children are fast asleep.
Then you're in
and what are you supposed to do?
self-defense.
You have to affirmatively
Then
somehow
you are
confirm that this individual is
acting in
actually
self-defense.
posing a risk?
Come on.
This is what I believe the Latin is res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. He has just invaded your home in the middle of the night. Of course, he's posing a risk. So what are you supposed to do? You're running through a metal detector, and only then, if it goes off, you have the right to defend yourself and your family.
I don't know if that's what the law says.
And your children. Just think about what the impact, if this is going to be.
Stop
It will
screaming, little
massively
skinny man.
tip the scales
Tiny
in favor
penis man.
of the criminal. In
Skinny
the case
penis
of
man.
such
He has a skinny penis.
confrontation.
I'm pretty sure about it. I don't know for
It puts
certain.
the onus
I'm just
on
guessing.
you,
I'm turning
the
him
victim,
down a little
an
bit.
ordinary citizen.
I'm gonna turn
minding your
myself
own
louder
business
than you.
in your own home, whose
Oh, I
home
guess
has
I'm
just
not.
been invaded, to somehow meet
God,
a
calm
set
down,
of legal
Charlotte.
requirements.
Jesus, Charlotte,
for
calm down.
exercising your inherent right to self-defense. And the criminal, knowing this,
Wait a minute.
will
What do we
use
got
it
for him?
to press their advantage. Indeed, more
There we go.
broadly, criminals knowing that homeowners have been rendered defenseless will be much more likely to burglarize homes.
Assholes and their
And citizens,
feelings.
knowing the legal peril that they might face,
Trying to get on
to actually defend themselves, which again will incentivize
Rumble
more burglaries.
clean.
Again, this is a measure that a lead advocacy group called a blueprint for the rest of the nation.
Assholes have
So maybe I'll pose this question to Mr. McDermott. Ms. Mueller, if you have any thoughts as well.
I don't want
What do you
to
see as
ask the
risk of a
smart
measure
guy
like this,
at
and
the
how can we
end.
assure that we are protecting
He
the Second Amendment rights
scares
of folks
me
across the
with his
country in the face of these
brain.
Thanks for the question.
So
I
I'm going to
think,
ask Weird
more
Al
than anything
Yankovic.
else, as Ms. Mueller put it,
With a
many of these
pinstripe
people that are
suit.
enacting or
Blech.
opposing the enactment of these laws come from a place of privilege.
I don't like
represent a lot
pinstripes.
of
I'm
these
sorry.
people Post self-defense incident. It's entirely
And how many
different
do you
story.
get off?
It's entirely different when you have to.
How many do you
speak on
get
somebody's
off?
behalf, defend them in
Sir, how
court
many
as
do
to
you
what
get
they
off?
did, and
Sir,
something
how
that
many?
many
What's your
people think
record?
makes
What's your
sense, and something that
TKO?
was-
Come
it
on,
was
give it
legislative.
over.
It was something which was necessary.
Give me
to
the
preserve
numbers.
the lives of their,
Give me
of
the
their families.
numbers.
Criminals are not
Sorry, let me show
restricting their
you. This
ability
is
to
Weird
commit
Al
crimes,
answering this
But
question.
yet, so many law-abiding citizens are
Weird Al's
restricted
answering this
their
question.
ability to defend
Do we need the
themselves, and
googly
this is
eyes? I
another
think we
way
do.
in which that happens. I think a very serious concern here, and I
There we
talked about
go.
in my
God,
opening
it
statement,
always
is the
just
fact
lines
that
up almost
we are
perfectly.
imposing or suggesting the imposition
Wait.
of additional duty retreat states, duty retreat jurisdictions.
Why don't you just
and this
get
is
off?
Very wrong.
You know,
This
he
is-
doesn't.
this
He's
is
not part of the
basically coming from a
California
place of-
legislature,
I
so he
liken
can
this to
shut the
Monday
fuck
morning
up.
quarterbacking, where
Nobody
you
gives a
basically,
shit.
when I'm litigating these cases in court in real time,
Yeah.
and I'm listening to all these different things, and I'm
Right.
taking
Do you
this all in,
cry?
knowing what my client actually went through.
Are you crying?
And you've got somebody that's sitting in the comfortable place of their home, and they're watching the football game on
What?
the big screen, and they see all the different options that the quarterback has when he hikes the ball.
Are you scared?
The quarterback is seeing a number of different people running at him, full speed, big people getting
What
ready
do-
to take him out.
what?
Has seconds.
What are we
sometimes
talking about?
milliseconds to go ahead and respond in those
Well,
types of situations.
huh?
And then people on Monday
So we're
morning,
football
just like
players?
lawmakers, unfortunately, in different jurisdictions.
Wait a minute, what?
Are saying, you know what, you should have done this differently. And
Uh-huh.
it's pretty
Okay.
sad. It's
Oh,
pretty pathetic,
wait.
and it's not
So
helping. It's
when
not
you
helping
shoot people,
to
it's like
defend
being a
themselves,
football
which is
player,
an innate right. Everybody in this
and
room can agree that everybody has a right
Congress
to defend themselves. It's
is
just half this room is disagreeing as to why.
Monday
or
morning
how they can
quarterback.
do that.
Shut up, Dick
Thank you. Gentleman's
McDermott.
time has expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Golden.
Oh yeah. Give it to him, Dan.
Mr. McDermott, everybody in this room
Both barrels, no pun
recognizes the right to
intended.
self-defense, so I hope my colleague from California is permitted by his former colleagues to speak at the hearing on the California bill that is not a bill in this Congress. Mr. McDermott, I want to just clarify something you said. You said earlier on that in Chicago, the gun laws have not worked. I beg to differ. The Everytown gun law rankings that just came out, and I'm happy to introduce this, has Illinois, in terms of its gun law strength, at number 3. California's 1, Massachusetts 2, Illinois 3, my home state of New York 4. The problem with those states is that there is an iron pipeline where guns that are manufactured outside of those states are trafficked into those states. The ATF is the federal government
I always forget about
agency
the
that is
eyes. Leave them on
charged,
too long.
and I believe, Mr. Jackson, am I right, that the ATF is the only one with technology that can trace guns?
They're definitely the best at it.
Yeah, and so most local law enforcement send the guns to the ATF to trace so that they can figure out where they're coming from. That allows us to
You know what I'm going to
enforce
do next
federal
week?
laws
I'm doing a
against gun
DJ show.
trafficking. Now,
I think it's going to be on TikTok because I don't think I can do it on YouTube. But watch for that. I'm bringing you a DJ session.
Kash Patel recently
I'm building a whole set for you.
He has
It's going to be
never
fun.
managed a local bakery, much less an institution of the size of the FBI. But then President Trump named him also to be the acting director
DJ
of the
down Lolo.
Mr. Patel spoke at the inaugural summit of an organization called the Gun Owners of America, which says on its website that they
I always thought that too, Max. Now it doesn't matter because they're gone.
The ATF. Mr. Jackson, briefly, can you just summarize what would happen if the ATF were abolished?
I mean,
I'm going to burn Putin with my weed cigarette.
Federally enforce rogue gun dealers to focus on
Ow,
disrupting
ouch,
problematic iron
ouch.
pipelines, as you spoke of. There's multiple across the country to prosecute gun traffickers. It would greatly handicap our
No,
background
forearms
check
is
system
weird.
and our ability
I
to
agree. That's really weird.
identify and frankly
What?
deny
Why do
dangerous
forearms
sales of
have to be weird?
firearms.
Probably something to
And
do with
most
the
importantly,
knives.
it will strip us of the ability to look out for emerging threats. We know that there are things like Glock switches and innovations that are happening every day that are
Ghost
making
guns,
weapons
right?
more deadly.
Ghost guns as well. Now,
Well,
that's
thank
not
you.
just
Yeah, shouldn't
a
it?
potential problem. That's a real problem because the president has issued an executive order to reevaluate every gun regulation that has been implemented by the Biden administration through Mr. Jackson and the excellent work and part of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Now, one of those rules is the engaged in the business of selling guns rule, which is clearly a target of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. And it's pretty remarkable to me because that rule, which is often referred to as the zero tolerance policy, revokes federal firearm licenses for people who, one, willfully transfer a firearm to a prohibited person, someone who the law says is not allowed to own a gun. Two, fails to run a required background check. Three, falsify records. Four, fail to respond to a tracing request. Or five, refuse to permit ATF to conduct an inspection in violation of the law. In other words, that regulation is designed solely to enforce
Specifically.
the law. And yet, for some reason,
My
that
God.
is a purported infringement on our Second Amendment rights. Ms. Mueller, I have a couple quick questions for you. Is there a Second Amendment right for a mentally ill person to own a firearm?
There isn't one that isn't.
Is there a Second Amendment right for, I just have a little time, for someone convicted of or with an outstanding order from domestic violence to own a gun?
Repeat the question, please.
Can someone who has committed domestic violence own a gun? Is there a Second Amendment right?
Gentleman's time has expired. You may answer the question if you can. Thank you.
No, sir.
No, there's not. This is not a Second Amendment
Your
issue
time
that
has
we're
expired,
talking
sir. Thank you.
Because you were going to drop the bomb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Kiley, thank you for your questions. You think about California. Well, it's California. You figured that. You know,
What?
As an
What the
old sheriff
fuck?
from Fort
Are you
Bend
jelly?
County, Texas, we love the great
Are you
state
jelly,
of Texas.
bitch?
You
Are you
come
jelly,
into the great
bitch?
state of
Are you
Texas,
jelly,
start
bitch?
waving a gun
Are you a
around and
jelly
threatening
bitch?
our citizens,
Okay, you get the eyes.
or you break
I
into a
might put
home
some balls
in the
on your
state of
head. You don't
Texas,
know.
You're leaving in a bag.
There we go.
You will leave in a bag.
Bag.
As a sheriff, many did.
Bag. Will I live in a
Breaking into
bag?
people's homes, their
Where's the
castles,
balls?
threatening, scaring people.
Do I have balls? Do I have balls
That's
here?
California for you, but I tell you, not in the great state of Texas.
I
we
don't know.
won't allow
I live in East Hollywood, and I feel
First,
perfectly
I want to
safe.
ask about the effect of
I
left-wing
don't know.
DAs charging people with crimes.
Oh, here we go.
for
Balls.
engaging in
There we go.
obvious
Here we go.
self-defense
All right.
or
Sorry.
defense of others.
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Daniel
everybody,
Penny,
but this
his
is the way it
name
has to
comes
be.
mind as a recent example.
It's not my fault. Oops,
Last
shit.
year, Mr. Penny
Oh, now
restrained
I can't get to the
Jordan
balls.
Neely on the New York City subway.
Hold on.
After Neely continued to threaten
There we
women
go.
and children on the train, which unfortunately resulted in his death. I'm sure.
Oh, I can't even cover your face with the
Mr.
balls
Penny
because your
didn't
head's
wanna
too
have to
big.
take the man's life.
I'm going to have
Nobody
to make
wants
the
do
balls
that.
bigger. Here we go. I know. I'm sorry.
Although this was an
NSFW.
obvious case of
Get the
self-defense
kids
of
away
others,
from the
Manhattan
screen.
DA Alvin Bragg
Get the
charged
kids
Penny
away
with
from the
manslaughter
screen.
likely due to public pressure from the left-wing radicals who felt Mr. Neely should have been allowed to threaten women and children with impunity.
Oh, man. I just cannot make these balls big enough, sir. Your head is so large.
Take long, a full acquittal,
I cannot cover your head with the balls. Oops, that's not it.
He had been through an 18-month ordeal in which his name and reputation, they drug it through the mud. So the government, the media's message to New Yorkers was clear. Dare to protect your fellow citizens.
You can't come for my California.
Destroy your life.
You can't come for my California and not get the balls in the face. I'm going to put my balls in your face.
You may not have them anymore.
Oh, yeah, the scrotum needs googly eyes. Wait. I got it. Hold on. Hold on. Where's the fucking eyes? God damn it.
All of a sudden the suspect.
Oh,
Mr. McDermott, do these kinds of political
now let me get these and put them higher.
To the defense of others?
Put them over the balls. We gotta go over the balls. Okay. There we go.
Like women
now.
and children and the elderly. In other words, how important is it? How important is it for us to have a society where people feel it to come to the defense of the vulnerable?
Obviously, the question answers itself. It's extremely important. We have a number of different problems. First off,
wait, you're right. Let me do that. Hold on, let me do that. Wait. Balls.
As happened in that particular
okay,
case.
So there, and then I'm going to take the eyes.
There's certain uniform,
Where's the eyes? Oh, fuck.
Rules
Come on.
in this space. There's
All
certain
right,
things
now
that you
the
see
eyes. I'm
repeating
going to take
themselves
down
very
here.
often. For example, my clients that are being charged with very serious charges, the majority of these clients, the vast majority of these clients, close to all of them, have no criminal backgrounds. Yet the victims that are being
it does look like a hairy ass too, yeah.
Witnesses in these cases.
Well, whatever. Pick your poison.
They have violent backgrounds. I have a client right now that's in custody. Will not release from custody because she's been determined. It's been determined that she's a danger to society. She's a grandmother. She's protecting herself. She's protecting her daughter. She's protecting her 75-year-old mother from two grown men who are beating on them, and she's being charged. So this is happening far too often.
I got 1 question, minute left.
First of all, it's bring your despot to work day. So I brought this one, and now I'm going to burn his head with my cigarette. Gotcha. Ouch. I don't know how to say ouch in Russian. Anyway, so I bring your tyrant to work day. So I brought my tyrant, my tiny tyrant. And then everybody's just acting like a big set of balls, which frankly are not my favorite part of a man. So this is the best insult I can give to these motherfuckers is putting balls on their face. I know. Sorry.
The Second Amendment, uniformity in the Second Amendment.
All right, let me take these balls off because I'm going to put them on someone I don't want to.
A Pennsylvania resident could receive an 18-month prison sentence and a $10,000
I'm having
fine
too much fun. This is bad. Okay, wait, what? Wait, let's go back. Is there controversy?
In limited support of.
Thank you. The gentleman's time's expired.
There we go. We'll
Chair
catch
now
up with
recognizes
this.
the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Knott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's interesting that my friends on the other side of the aisle have tiptoed around the issue and even claimed to be not against the Second Amendment. They're not hostile towards the Second Amendment, but life experience and observation of any objective record shows that they are very hostile towards the Second Amendment. Even some of the cases that they have cited in limited support of their questions, whether it be Heller or
I changed my
Brewer,
mind. I don't like you.
The Democratic Party has been against
Blah,
those.
blah. Democratic Party. Blah, blah. Let's go somewhere else. What are we doing? Happened. What happened? What happened? Balls with googly eyes flopping on a human face forever. Well, we're probably going to see a lot of it. I'm going to be honest. Oh, okay. What are we doing? Are we all done? What are we doing?
Yeah,
what?
What's up with that?
I've tried.
What are we doing? Are you guys doing something? Are we done? Are they taking a break?
Yeah.
Your microphone's on. So, yeah. Okay. Oops, hold on. Oops, that's another one. That's the boring one. This is that. Where's my goddamn... Oh, there it is. The right to self-defense. Okay, I'm going to clip that off. And then I'm going to go to Justin Trudeau. Let me see when he started. When did he start? Doodle-doo, doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo-doo. Wow, okay. You start on time, babes. All right, here we go. This is a press conference that started a bit ago.
But we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it
Oh, he's mad.
is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. Encore aujourd'hui, on se voit forcé d'imposer des droits de douane de 25% sur 155 milliards de dollars américains de marchandises.
Worth
Sorry.
of U.S. products, 30 billion, 30 billion immediately, and in 21 days, $120 billion worth.
I'm just curious. Do we know what products from Canada are first up to have the tariffs? What 30%? I'm just curious. Is it like lumber or is it specific? Like, I just don't understand what it. I know it impacts everything, but I just kind of wonder. Is it like lumber, oil, crude oil?
Sooner. And should these tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several
I'm telling you, that Mar-a-Lago Accord is going to become important because they're going to try and create an isolation booth around the United States for some odd reason. I don't know. Whatever.
Now, just like I did a month ago, I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend
We don't either.
and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. As of this morning, markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials.
Yeah, the markets are down from the opening.
Consumers in Canada, or both.
Bitcoin, all the coins are down.
To raise costs for American consumers on everyday essential items like groceries and gas, on major purchases like cars and homes, and everything in between. They've chosen to harm
Asian
American
markets
national
down.
security.
European markets down. About, 1 to 3% across when I'm looking at different markets.
We have, and that the United States needs to grow and prosper. They've chosen
Futures
to launch
aren't
a trade war
insane.
that will
They're down a
first
little
and
bit.
foremost harm American families. They've chosen to sabotage their own agenda that was supposed to usher in
All right,
a
thanks,
new
Oomph. That's right, the
golden age
OMB.
for
Yep.
the United States. And they've chosen to undermine the incredible work we've done together to tackle the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that must be wiped from the face of the earth. So on that point, let me be crystal clear. There is absolutely no justification or need whatsoever for these tariffs today. Now, the legal pretext your government is using to bring in these tariffs is that Canada is apparently unwilling to help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Well, that is totally false.
Say bullshit.
Let's look at the facts.
Le bullshit.
Our border is already safe and secure. Far less than
Tell me that wood
1%
makes you
of
feel really
fentanyl
strong
flows
without telling
and
me
less
that the
than
wood
1%
makes you
of
feel
illegal
really strong.
crossings into the United States comes from Canada. But we acted because we know we can always do better. We responded to concerns, including from the President, by implementing an ambitious $1.3 billion border plan. A border plan that includes generational investments in new AI and imaging tools to stop the flow of fentanyl in its tracks, stronger coordination and information
Lots of
sharing
investigations.
with American agencies, along with the deployment
Like a plan
of
in 2
drones,
weeks.
helicopters, and additional personnel to keep our border secure. Now, a month ago, as part of an agreement with the United States that paused the tariffs, we made further commitments. We appointed Kevin Brasseau
Doggy
as
is
our fentanyl
crying,
czar,
so I will
a man
be
who dedicated
back.
his multi-decade career in law enforcement to combating organized crime networks and drug trafficking. We designated 7 drug cartels, sick, evil groups who cynically profit off the pain and suffering of people on both sides of the border, as the terrorist organizations that they are. And just yesterday, we launched a new joint operations partnership supported by a $200 million investment between Canada's security and law enforcement agencies, a partnership that will enhance the coordination of information and intelligence in order to thwart criminal gangs involved in the illegal fentanyl trade. And critically, our actions are working. As the U.S. Customs and Border Protection just acknowledged, there was a 97% drop in fentanyl seizures from January compared to December, to a near zero low of less than half an ounce seized in January, even with all the further enforcements and actions we've taken at the borders. In sum, we stepped up. We engaged closely and constructively with the President and his administration. We did everything we promised. We stuck to our word. And we did it because we believe in working together to protect our citizens. Now I want to speak directly to one specific American, Donald. In the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries. We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the US have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see. And now, to my fellow Canadians, I won't sugarcoat it. This is going to be tough, even though we're all going to pull together, because that's what we do. We will use every tool at our disposal so Canadian workers and businesses can weather this storm. From expanding EI benefits and making them more flexible to providing direct supports to businesses, we will be there as needed to help. But Canada, make no mistake, no matter how long this lasts, no matter what the cost, the federal government and other orders of government will be there for you. We will defend Canadian jobs. We will take measures to prevent predatory behavior that threatens Canadian companies because of the impacts of this trade war, leaving them open to takeovers. We will relentlessly fight to protect our economy. We will stand up for Canadians every single second of every single day, because this country is worth fighting for. Les derniers mois ont été stressants et honnêtement épuisant
and
pour
really
nous tous.
tiring for all of
Mais
us,
je crois qu'on
frankly.
peut
But I think
être rassuré par
we can be
l'incroyable
reassured
solidarité
by the
dont on
incredible
a tous été
solidarity
témoins entre
that
nous. Solidarité
our
entre nos
society
entreprises, nos
showed
syndicats, notre
with our
société
companies,
civile, les
a
communautés
civil society,
autochtones et tous les
and
Canadiens. L'ensemble de la société canadienne
indigenous
parle d'une
society.
seule voix.
The
Pour qu'on se
entire
fasse
society
entendre de nos
is
partenaires américains pour
unanimous.
illustrer que
We have to talk
l'imposition
to our
de droits de
American
douane,
partners.
c'est une très mauvaise
Those
idée.
tariffs are a very bad idea.
On
At the
travaille
same
à l'interne pour faire
working
tomber les obstacles au
internally
commerce
to
entre nos
eliminate
provinces et territoires. On travaille pour
obstacles
rejoindre de nouveaux
between
marchés à travers le
trade
monde,
between our
pour
states,
bâtir une économie
and to
toujours
find
plus
new
forte et
markets
plus
throughout the world,
résiliente.
to have better economy,
Dans les
more
dernières
solid,
années,
more
j'ai eu
robust.
plusieurs occasions
The
de
last
discuter avec des leaders
years,
du monde
I
entier.
discussed
Mon
with leaders
message
all
est
over the
toujours
world.
le même.
My message
Le
hasn't
Canada
changed.
est un
Canada
partenaire
is
fiable et notre
reliable
porte est
partner,
grande ouverte.
and our doors are open.
Dans les dernières semaines, on a
During the
aussi
last
redoublé
week,
d'efforts pour renforcer nos
we
liens
made
avec le Mexique,
more efforts
qui a lui
to
aussi été
increase our
frappé par ces
collaboration with
tarifs.
Mexico, that is also a victim of these
Ensemble,
tariffs.
on va chercher de nouvelles façons
Together,
de collaborer,
we will
de
find
s'appuyer
other
l'un
ways
sur
of
l'autre pour faire
working
face à cette
and
menace.
rely one with each other
Face à
to
l'incertitude,
confront this.
face à l'inquiétude, les Canadiens
With
ont fait preuve
confronted
de
with this
tellement de solidarité.
uncertainty,
Je vous ai
Canadians
vu partager des
show
listes de
much
produits
solidarity.
canadiens pour aider vos proches à appuyer
You
les entreprises
share
d'ici.
products
Je vous ai vu
to help
changer vos plans de
companies.
vacances
I
et opter pour des
I
magnifiques
saw you
destinations
change
touristiques qu'on a
travel
ici
plans
chez nous, au Canada.
to remain in
Je
Canada,
vous ai vu redoubler
and
d'efforts
I
pour soutenir
saw
nos
that
petites
you were making
entreprises
more
et
efforts
nos travailleurs.
to support small
Je vous ai
businesses
vu
and
vous porter à la
workers.
défense de notre
I saw
culture
that you
et la faire
defended your
rayonner.
culture to
Je vous
make
ai
it
vu
shine even
encourager
more.
nos
I
athlètes
saw you
avec une
encourage
ferveur
your
sans
athletes
précédent.
with unwavering
Moi
support
qui croyais que je ne
and
pouvais pas être
enthusiasm.
plus fier de notre
I
pays
cannot
et de
be
mes compatriotes.
more proud of my
Mais
fellow
j'ai encore
Canadians.
quelque chose à vous
But
demander.
there's something else I want to ask you,
Lâchez pas.
ask from
C'est
you.
le moment de
Do not
redoubler d'efforts,
abandon,
de se tenir
do
debout
not
pour notre pays, de faire
fight for
tout
your
ce qu'on
country.
peut pour
Do
choisir le
everything you
Canada,
can
pour
to
défendre
choose
le Canada.
Canada, to defend
On va
Canada.
passer ensemble à travers
We
des
will
moments
go through
difficiles.
this, these
Mais après
difficult
vous avoir
times
vu
together.
aller dans les dernières semaines, j'ai jamais été aussi
I've
optimiste
never
quant au
been
futur
so
de notre beau pays,
optimistic after seeing
malgré
how you
tous
have
les défis qu'on va
reacted
être en train de
in the
vivre ensemble.
past weeks, and we will
Le
go through,
Canada
we will
reste le
survive
meilleur
these
pays sur Terre. On a tellement de
difficult
raisons
times.
d'être fiers
Canada
de
is
notre
the
chez
best
nous, de
country
ces
in the world.
quelques arpents de
There are
neige.
reasons to be so
Mais surtout,
proud of this country and
je suis
this
fier de notre capacité
snowy
à nous
country,
serrer
and
les coudes
I
quand vient
am
le temps.
proud of our
Les
solidarity, our
Canadiens ont
capacity to
différentes
weather the
origines,
storm.
différentes langues, différentes croyances.
We have different
Mais quand vient le temps de
origins,
défendre
different
notre
languages,
pays,
but when it
on
comes
le
to
fait d'une
defending our
seule
country,
voix, main dans
we
la
are
main.
one.
À travers vents et marées, les Canadiens
Through the
peuvent
storm,
toujours compter
Canadians can
les uns
always
sur les autres.
on each other,
Now,
on
we've
one
been
another.
through tough spots before. But every time we've faced long odds and seemingly insurmountable obstacles, we've not only survived, we've emerged stronger than ever. Because when it comes to defending our great nation, there is no price we all aren't willing to pay. And today is no different. Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Merci beaucoup. We will now take 20 minutes of questions. Nous prendrons 20 minutes de questions. One question, one follow-up, une question, un suivi. Merci.
Hi, Prime Minister. Tom Perry with CBC. You're reaching out to the president today. You're speaking directly to him. We heard from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who says that Donald Trump will be speaking to Canadians. And he also says that he wants to see more progress on fentanyl. So my question to you is, do you have any conversation scheduled with Donald Trump in the coming days? Is that something maybe your successor should do? And do you really believe that this is about fentanyl, or is there something larger at play here?
Good journalism, mean.
To speak to Donald over the past number of days, and I expect to speak with him in the days to come. I'm always there to talk with him about the importance of working together to take on the world at this time. The facts show very clearly that in terms of taking action on fentanyl, we are doing everything that is necessary, and not just for the United States, for ourselves as well, as Canadians are suffering as well from the scourge that is illegal fentanyl. We have laid out extensive plans, actions, cooperations, including as recently as the past days in Washington, and they have always been very well received. And the numbers bear that out. I think in what President Trump said yesterday, that there is nothing Canada or Mexico can do to avoid these tariffs, underlines very clearly what I think a lot of us have suspected for a long time, that these tariffs are not specifically about fentanyl, even though that is the legal justification he must use to actually move forward with these tariffs.
Monsieur Trudeau, en français, à part l'allocution que vous avez eue envers Monsieur Trump, lui avez-vous parlé au cours des
After
derniers
the
jours, des dernières heures?
have you talked to
Non.
Mr.
Je
Trump
me suis mis
besides
à sa
that
disposition
conversation
pour
a
parler
few
pendant les
days
derniers
ago?
jours, comme on avait fait il y a 30 jours.
We,
J'espère lui parler dans
I
les
hope
jours à venir.
to
Je suis toujours
talk to
ouvert
him,
pour parler.
to him in the future.
You mentioned this
My
off the
door is
top.
open.
You're seeing the United States seemingly moving closer to Moscow. This is a same day that the United States has announced it's suspending aid for Ukraine. The Kremlin just said that U.S. foreign policy now is in alignment with Russia. So how do you successfully, or your successor, successfully negotiate with a president who seems
There's a link to the story, Jim.
seems to regard his friends as his enemies and his enemies as his friends?
It's 55 jobs, but still, it's closing
Canada
permanently.
and Canadians are very clear. We know who our friends are. We know who our opponents are. And there is no question that Vladimir Putin and his attack not just on Ukraine, but on the rules-based international order, on the founding principles of the United Nations, is an opponent of Canada. I think the question that we all need to be watching closely is, what do the American people think? How do Americans feel?
And how do we
about
show them how we feel?
jettisoning one's friends and allies in favor of a country that has never wished Americans well and continues to act in ways that harm the global economy and specifically the American economy and
their own
American
citizens.
values and principles.
Bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau, Valérie Gavage de Radio-Canada.
Radio-Canada.
Sur les programmes d'aide, le Québec, au Québec, on parle de
Is that vodka?
We talk about 160,000 jobs that could be lost.
dans les usines d'auto. Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose sur la table
Carbon.
aujourd'hui?
Is there something, a plan on the table to limit
God, he's a
the
good
delay
leader.
to have
I'm
access
sorry.
to,
I'm sure he has
employment,
problems,
workers'
but
compensation? I want to remind people that our objective is not to find ways so Canadians can go through these terrible times. It's to prevent these terrible times to last longer than the minimum time necessary. We can eliminate these tariffs tomorrow. That's what we're going to try to do. Our priority is to end this commercial trade war.
Le fait que des Américains, dès
the fact that
aujourd'hui,
Americans
font faire face
already
à
today
des mises
will
à pied,
be
vont faire
confronted
face
with
à des problèmes
layoffs,
au niveau de leur
difficulties with regards
consommation.
Dollars down.
Va
their
nous aider à
supply
mettre fin
chain.
à ces défis le plus
This will
rapidement.
help
Crypto
us
down.
to end
Effectivement,
these
on est en
problems
train
as
de
soon as
regarder
possible.
toutes
Like,
sortes
we're
de choses
considering
que nous
many
pourrons
things.
faire.
Less than 5% on all of across the board. I mean, very
These
small.
tariffs last longer than 1 or 2 days, even with immediate actions with the workers' compensation, employment insurance.
The Mar-a-Lago Accord, Max. Please, I don't know how I find these things. I don't know how I do it.
First of all, there will be
I'm
similar
fucking
impacts
right.
on
Every
Americans losing their
fucking
jobs, American families paying more for basic
No, I'm
goods
not.
that
It's
they
not about
rely
me.
on at a time where times are tight everywhere. But our focus has to be on getting these tariffs lifted
He's a
as
tyrant.
quickly as possible. What can
Dump
we do
is a tyrant.
in the coming days is our focus to make sure that these tariffs don't last a second longer than necessary. So we will be looking at, including looking in the coming day at things we can do around adjusting EI to support people through this difficult time. But our priority has to be not on figuring out how to manage through these tariffs over the coming days and weeks and months, but on doing everything we can to get them lifted and put an end to this unjustified trade war that hurts American families and Canadian families.
On a l'impression que vous n'avez plus beaucoup de cartes dans votre jeu. Est-ce que
You don't
de
have any cards
devancer
in
la
your game
négociation de la renégociation de la CEUM fait partie des
to
plans
go
actuellement?
forward, accelerate the renegotiation. Is that something that you plan?
Actuellement, dans les conversations
Currently, in the conversations with the president,
c'est pas très clair ce qu'il
it's
veut.
not very clear what's going on.
Ou peut-être la
Or
seule
maybe
clarté, c'est ce qu'il a dit à multiples
what is
reprises,
clear
que son
is what he
but,
said to
c'est
several
de
times
faire
that his
écrouler
objective is
l'économie
to
canadienne
kill
pour ensuite
Canadian
pouvoir parler
economy,
d'annexation.
to
C'est ce
talk
qu'il
about
veut.
annexation.
Alors,
That's what he wants.
je ne sais pas
So I don't know
quelle
what
négociation on pourrait entamer
negotiation we could
actuellement
start
pour
currently
éviter, pour
to avoid
lui convaincre que c'est pas ça son
to
but.
convince him that that
réponse
shouldn't be his
aujourd'hui
goal. Our answer today
est ancrée dans le fait de
is
démontrer à
anchored.
quel point nos
We want to
économies
show
sont interreliées.
how
Et
our
si on fait
economies
des
are
barrières
intertwined,
entre nos
and if we
économies,
create
les familles des
obstacles,
deux côtés de la
and
frontière vont
families in both
souffrir.
sides of the border
Pour
will suffer.
démontrer qu'on
To
devrait être en
show
train de
that
faire des
we
choses ensemble.
should do things
Et
together.
pendant qu'il
And while
fait le choix de
he's
vouloir
choosing to
ruiner l'économie canadienne,
ruin Canadian economy,
je ne sais pas si
I don't
devancer
know
des négociations dans une situation de
to
si mauvaise
accelerate
foi dans laquelle on se trouve
with
maintenant,
in such
où
bad
il amène
faith
des
that
tarifs
the
sans
bad faith we see that
aucune justification
with
factuelle
with
aujourd'hui.
by putting tariffs that have
Je
no
sais pas si d'ouvrir
justification
les
at all.
négociations,
I
on serait
don't know
toujours ouvert
if
à le faire s'il le voulait,
we
mais c'est
are
pas
open
un
to
enjeu
those
dont on va parler
negotiations,
pour le présent.
but currently no.
I'm just trying to remember. What was that? Cosmet, that's right. I think in terms of what he wants, I heard he talked about banking again this morning in a tweet, which doesn't make any sense because American banks, there's about 16 American banks currently active in Canada holding
the hell, Jim?
$113 billion worth of assets in this country. So the American banks are alive and well and prospering in Canada. It's an example of not really being able to see what it is that he wants, because even the excuse that he's giving for these Paris tariffs today of fentanyl is completely bogus, completely unjustified, completely false. So we actually have to fold back on the one thing he has said repeatedly, that what he wants is to see a total collapse of the Canadian economy, because that'll make it easier to annex us, is the second half of his thought. Now, first of all, that's never going to happen. We will never be the 51st state. But yeah, he can do damage to the Canadian economy, and he's started this morning. But he is rapidly going to find out, as American families are going to find out, that that's going to hurt people on both sides of the border. Americans will lose jobs. Americans will be paying more for groceries, for gas, for cars, for homes, because we have always done best when we work together. So we are, of course, open to starting negotiations on the customer review, but let us not fool ourselves about what he seems to be wanting. And I will admit, I have been holding out hope that these tariffs were just a clever negotiating ploy that would have the impact that they're having now without even bringing them in over the past weeks, as we've seen order books dry up for Canadian companies from American customers, as we've seen expansion plans in Canada put on hold, as we've seen people choosing to invest in the United States over the past weeks because of the threat of tariffs. But now that he's moved forward with tariffs, we're going to see the real impact of a trade war between our two countries. And that impact will be to hurt American families.
Prime Minister Tonda McCharles with the Toronto Star. I hope you can be as specific as possible for a number of these points. Everybody's looking to what actually you're going to do. In your statement last night, you referenced non-tariff measures, and I want to know exactly what you're prepared to contemplate there. And given that your likely successors, both Carney and Poilievre, have said it should be dollar for dollar retaliatory tariffs, that's on $600 billion worth of American imports. If you were to do that, is that on or off the table?
I will be sitting down, as I have every week for the past many, many weeks, with the premiers this afternoon to talk about our individual, combined, and collective response to this. As we've put on the table, the federal government has $155 billion worth of tariffs that we can move forward with immediately, and that we will be moving forward with both now and 21 days from now to give Canadian companies time to adjust their supply chains to not be overly impacted by this. But there are many other things that have been surfaced by different premiers in different approaches that we can look at. One, for example, is around purchasing and around suppliers and around contracts, whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal, with American companies. There are many different things that we've been looking at, and that conversation with the premiers this afternoon is going to be very, very important. But I can tell you what we have seen is Canadians across provinces and territories, across political lines, are united in knowing that this is a time to hit back hard and to demonstrate that a fight with Canada will have no winners. And the sooner we can get past this fight, back to working together to take on the world as
I know, Max. Jesus, it's all it's designed to be a mess. I'm sorry.
To what extent have you turned or gotten cooperation from any other allies to exact more pain on the U.S. to accelerate getting to a solution? And are you concerned that Mexico appears to be trying to do their own thing maybe next Sunday? Where are you with any guarantees you've got allies?
I have to stop because I'm looking at Bloomberg. BlackRock buys Hutchinson's Panama ports in victory for Trump. Do you recall the hearing we heard about the ports and the Panama Canal? Let's see. This is big, you guys, because remember we had that hearing where everybody was pissed off because China had ports on either side of the Panama Canal. Do you remember that? Oh, sorry, Justin, I really froze you on an unfortunate moment, but it was for a good cause. So calm down. You look good anyway. Don't worry about it. Okay. Do you recall that hearing we saw? Yeah. Okay. All right. Of course. So here's a headline in Bloomberg today. BlackRock buys Hutchinson's Panama ports in victory for Trump. CK Hutchinson Holdings, the Hong Kong-based conglomerate, agreed to sell control of a unit that operates operates ports near the Panama Canal after pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump to limit Chinese interests in the region. The agreement was reached alongside a deal in principle for a consortium. Ooh, I wonder who's in that. Led by BlackRock to acquire units that hold 80% of the Hutchinson Ports Group, which operates 43 ports. Wait, they're buying the whole company? to acquire units that hold 80% of the Hutchinson's ports groups, which operates 43 ports in 23 countries, the company said Tuesday in a statement. I just want to tee that. Oh shit! Come on, don't stop fucking with me. Oh fuck you, Bloomberg, fucking capitalist pigs. Let's see. BlackRock Inc. and its Global Infrastructure Partners unit, along with Mediterranean Shipping Company's Ports Division, will also acquire 90% of Panama Ports Company, which operates the 2 entryways in Balboa and Cristobal. CK Hutchinson said it would receive cash proceeds of about $19 billion from the broader ports deal. It also removes itself from a major headache since Panama's government had been weighing whether to cancel the company's contract to operate the ports, Bloomberg reported last month, so February. The government had also initiated an audit on the contract. How in the world did they pull this deal together so fast? I'm sorry, that's fast. Hutchinson could see the writing on the wall that strategically it was best for them as well as for Panama to pursue its interests elsewhere, said Evan Ellis, Latin America research professor with the U.S. Army War College. The deal could also relieve pressure on the Panama president, Jose Raul Molino, who has been attempting to ward off Trump's designs on control of the Panama Canal. Well, he just bought it. He just bought it. In essence, he controls it. They need the cooperation of those ports in order to function. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. But I can see a world where that is the ultimate outcome. Okay. To ward off Trump's designs on control of the Panama Canal, which was handed over to the local government in 1999. Because it's theirs. Trump has argued without evidence that China has taken over the waterway and that the U.S. was paying too much for passage of government ships. It's positive to the extent it helps Molino to diminish Chinese footprint in Panama and placate Trump, said Risa Grace Targo, director for Latin America at Eurasia Group. I know, I feel sick to my stomach, butterflies. I was just thinking that. I literally feel sick to my stomach. Hutchinson has run the ports in Panama's Balboa and Cristobal under a concession that was first signed in 1997 and in 2021 extended until 2047. The acquisition of the ports will require government sign-off, BlackRock said. The transaction represents the largest infrastructure deal in BlackRock's history after it bought infrastructure specialist GIP last year in a push further into private markets. Oh, wow, that's interesting. BlackRock, who's, I guess, traditionally government contracts, is pushing more into private contracts. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Strange that private equity ownership is automatically whatever Trump wants. I'm not sure I understand what that means, but I'm sure I agree with it. Trump has argued without evidence. Surprises no one. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I have a different thought about leaders now who have to negotiate with this administration. And they have some very terrible choices to make. And I understand that. And of course, it's far beyond what I could handle. The transaction represents the largest infrastructure deal in BlackRock. Okay, blah, blah, blah. BlackRock shares fell 3.1%. Oopsie poopsie. That would be your friend. That would be your friend, BlackRock, who opened his big fat fucking pie hole and fucking fucked the market. To 936.66 at 10:45 a.m. in New York today, slumping along with the rest of the market and amid and the tariffs. Amid an escalating trade war. So it's still your guy. Still your guy, BlackRock. CK Hutchinson's American depository receipts jumped 6.2% to 5.28. Wow, they made bank. I guess that was a good deal. This agreement is a powerful illustration of BlackRock and GIP's combined platform and our ability to deliver differentiated investments for clients. Oh, Larry Fink. That's right. BlackRock Chief Executive Officer Larry Dick said in a statement, "We are increasingly the first call for partners seeking patient long-term capital." God, go to hell, Larry. Go to fucking hell. Burn in hell, Larry. Burn in fucking hell. Sorry. I'm not going to say hate more. I'm just going to condemn them to hell. Is that better? Do you think that's better than saying hate? Because hate's such a strong word. Do you think just condemning people to burn in hell is probably okay? Do I get a pass if I say that? Just kidding. So who owns the Panama Canal ports now? Well, BlackRock. And remember, these are the ports that are right outside the entrances on either side of the Panama Canal. So they're very important. They're very strategic. They have the power to control access to the canal, I believe, although I need to check that, actually. I should stop saying that because I don't know that. I can't recall that from that hearing we had. I can't recall if that was the case. What did you do? Did you do that? Did you try to jump up there and fail? Anyway. Yeah, I know. In this situation. Okay, so let's go back to someone who doesn't inspire hate, really. Unless you're a chud and you're like bitter Betty.
Spent quite a bit of time over these past couple of weeks meeting with European and international allies to talk about a number of different things, including standing up for the rules-based order by defending Ukraine, but also being there for each other in a more challenging and uncertain world. And I can tell you that every country is very, very aware that if the American government is willing to do this to their own closest ally, neighbor, and friend, everyone is vulnerable to a trade war. And our ability...
I'm so sorry. I just need to say this before I forget about it. Butterfly says they were detailed in their plans to destroy the U.S. into something it never was supposed to be. Next will be the Constitution. I'm feeling overwhelmed at the moment. I understand that feeling. And not to add to the overwhelm, but I did see a release on Truth Social. Now, again, this is the Truth Social, so this just telegraphs what could come, right? You know, things can change between a Truth Social post and an EO and a congressional bill, right? Things can change between that time. So we have to have faith in some level of reason. But he did just indicate that protests on university campuses will result in funding being cut, as well as prosecution of the protesters and deporting, non-resident students, I guess, or whatever, non-citizen or whatever, students who are here on a study visa. He'll deport them, and he'll prosecute the American citizens and force the university to expel those students. Now, I think there's this thing called right to assembly, and I could get my Constitution wrong. I'm not strong on I got to get stronger on the Constitution, but I think there's a right to assembly, even when you don't agree with it. Yeah.
To work together thoughtfully and strategically to
Sorry,
make sure
Justin.
we're supporting our citizens, we're doing things together in a more diversified way is something that is on the mind of all of our allies.
En français, vous en êtes où dans les discussions avec les alliés, que ce soit européens ou
Where
mexicains?
are you?
Comme vous savez,
Where,
au cours des dernières semaines,
where are you at in
Yeah, I thought it
with
was.
the
I
conversation
thought it was
with
up
your
there.
allies,
I don't know.
with several of our allies and our friends from Europe and international. Everybody's worried. They know that if Americans are ready to do this to Canada, they're the closest ally
Agreed.
and interconnected partner.
Agreed, Max.
Everybody risks the same. So our capacity to work together, to do more together, to diversify supply chains.
de façon encore plus délibérée.
Yeah, it's one of the five, right, of the First Amendment.
Manner. That's the conversation that we're having, and we're continuing to have with the with our Mexican partners. We continue to, we remain in contact with them, close contact, and we're going to analyze how we can do things together, as I said. So we don't need to suffer more than
Hi, Prime
necessary.
Minister. Rachel Haynes from CTV National News.
You better not come for the
Liberal
weed.
Party is going to be picking a new leader over the weekend, but when is it going to be your last official day as Prime Minister?
That will be up to a conversation between the new leader and myself to figure out how long a transition is needed. It should happen reasonably quickly, but there's a lot of things to do in a transition like this, particularly.
Which is a great way to transition together.
My last day will be determined once the new leader of the Liberal Party has been chosen. That will be a conversation about how long will be required to make that transition. There are many different elements to be considered, but I know that we want to do it quickly.
So it sounds like it won't be immediately on March 9th or March 10th. So it sounds like you'll probably still have some time remaining to put in some more actions on this. Is one of those things that you're considering going to be taxing oil, gas, and potash exports, even if premiers don't consent to that?
As I said, the most important thing we're facing, as I've said, the most important thing we can do is ensure that Canadians remain united. That's why whatever response, individually or collectively, we do across the country, we have to make sure that no single part of the country is carrying a greater burden or suffering any more than everyone else. This is going to be tough for all of us, but we need to be pulling and holding Canadians together every step of the way. And that's the conversation I'm going to be having with the premiers this afternoon in our now weekly meetings. There will be many different ideas we discuss, but the most important thing, more important than doing specific or effective pressure points on the United States.
I just took a lot of pictures of my cat.
Canadians united together. As we go through the pain that these American tariffs will
if completed
inflict on our economy, on our workplaces, on Canadian families, we will be able to say this is happening to us by the decisions of a different government. As American families suffer the impact of these tariffs, of this trade war with Canada, they will be saying this is happening because our own government is choosing to do it to us. That's a very different proposition. And the most important thing right now, more important than anything else, is for Canadians to remain united. And that's why all premiers will be focused on things that make sure Canadians don't get divided amongst ourselves. This is a time for us to pull together because the Americans will be having very real and very
Thank you so
challenging
yes.
debates
Sorry,
and discussions
Teresa.
about
Thank
these
you.
actions.
Of course. I appreciate
There will
that.
be
Teresa had
no
the post. I'll pull it up.
debate in Canada about whether or not we should be pulling together and responding. Everyone is aligned on that, and protecting that is job one for the Canadian government and the Canadian Prime Minister.
Hi, Mr. Trudeau.
Okay. Évidemment, il y a différentes choses que
Clearly,
différentes
there are
provinces,
different
secteurs
things
peuvent
that
faire
different
pour
provinces and sectors can do to put pressure on the United
plusieurs
States.
idées qui ont été mises sur la table, mais je veux être
Many
extrêmement
ideas have
clair
been put on the table, but I want to be
ce sera
very
pas le fait
clear.
qu'il y a une région ou une industrie au
One
Canada qui
region or
souffrira ou
industry in
supportera
Canada
un
will
plus
not
large
suffer or carry a larger burden than
On
others.
doit être équitable dans
We
notre
need to be
réponse et dans nos
fair
appuis.
with our response and our supports.
Parce que la chose la plus importante dans
And the most important thing in all of this is that Canadians remain united.
I love you, Teresa. I was looking for it. I love you.
And that's
Thank
what
you
I
so
spoke
much.
about with the premiers
My
of the
beautiful
provinces and
sister.
territories this
Love you.
afternoon.
L'unité de mission
I love my
et
friends so much.
de courage et de
Mission,
détermination
You're the
courage,
best.
and
dont les
determination.
Canadiens vont
All
faire
of
preuve
these values
dans les
that
jours
Canadians
et
will
semaines
be
à venir
showing in
va
the
être
days
notre
and
arme
weeks
la
to
plus
come
effective.
will be our
Parce
strongest
que
weapon.
les familles canadiennes qui vont faire face à
The
des
Canadian
impacts négatifs à
families
cause
that
de
will
ces
be
tarifs
negatively
Exactly.
affected
Illegal
by these
protests are
tariffs
already
nous,
illegal.
on va se tenir
will
ensemble en
be
tant que
saying to
Canadiens parce que
themselves,
c'est
we
un
will
autre
stand
pays
united
qui
as
nous
Canadians
Exactly,
because
butterflies.
it's another country that is
Fascism.
doing this
Et
to
nous,
us.
on va tenir bon, puis on va
We will
réussir à
stand
passer à
together
travers.
and we'll get through
Les
this.
familles américaines qui vont voir des pertes d'emploi
American families that
vont
will
voir des
see
augmentations
lost
de prix
jobs,
à cause de ces tarifs,
price hikes,
eux, ils
and
vont
more
devoir
because
se
of
dire,
these tariffs,
c'est à cause de notre propre
they
gouvernement
will say to themselves,
qu'on
this
est
is
en train de
because of
souffrir.
our own government that we are
Et
suffering
ça
now.
va amener des conversations
And that's
extrêmement
going to lead
Oh,
to
girl.
very difficult
entre Américains
conversations amongst Americans.
We are very good at ignoring
Discussions
things.
on why this trade war,
Sir.
this
We will take one
unjustified
last
war is
question
happening.
and follow up. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Judah.
They
Mackenzie
think this
Ray,
is owning the
Global. You
libs.
mentioned
He's drinking
markets earlier.
vodka. I can
Somebody knows
guarantee
nothing
it.
About that Warren Buffett came
I
out
don't
and said
blame
that
him.
these tariffs could be viewed as an act of war. Does the Canadian
Exactly.
government
Warren
believe these
Buffett
tariffs
said
from Donald
tariffs are
Trump
an act of
is
war.
from the U.S.?
Canadians are not angry at the American people for this. We don't have anything against Americans. Americans are our neighbors, our friends, our partners. We do things together. We've done things together for decades and generations.
Picnics in the park.
This is a
Lee,
policy
I
decision
love.
by the American government designed to go after the Canadian economy. This is a trade war, yes. But Canadians, Canadians are hurt. Canadians are angry.
Alina.
We're going to choose to not go on vacation in Florida or Old Orchard Beach or wherever.
The
We're gonna
OOB?
choose to try to
You're
buy
not going to
Canadian
come to the
products and
OOB?
forego bourbon and other classic American
It's not good for you
products.
anyway.
And yeah, we're probably going to keep booing the American anthem. But let me tell Americans,
Well, that's
we're
gonna
not booing
hurt.
you. We're not booing your teams. We're not booing your players. We're booing a policy that is designed to hurt us. And we're insulted.
Are they
we're
voting
angry.
on the 2 more terms thing?
But we're Canadian, which means we're going to stand up for each other. We're going to fight.
We're behind our Canadians.
There
Good
are
morning from
probably a
the
lot of
banks of
folks
the
watching on TV
Colorado
today
River.
who've been laid off or they were
Val,
told not to
lovely
come to work
Val,
today
I'm
because
so
of these
happy to
tariffs.
see you.
Can you explain to them why you've not announced any relief measures today to help those folks out?
As I've said, our entire focus has been on preventing these tariffs from coming in, if there was at all a way, and it now looks like there was never a way we were going to be able to avoid these tariffs that the president was determined to do. And our focus now is
Ooh,
going to be
Iggy,
on
protest
making
in
sure
Sarasota.
that they get
Fuck
lifted, that
yeah.
there is an end to this trade war as
Yeah,
quickly
belly of
as
the
possible.
beast.
But
Belly
over
of the
past
fucking
month,
beast.
we have been working on measures that if these tariffs last
Yeah, maybe
longer
if they
than a
do
few
gun
hours
shit,
or a few
they'll be
days,
mad. But
we be able to help Canadian citizens, Canadian workers, Canadian companies make it through this time.
oh, Paulina.
But let's also be
Wait,
clear.
is it that way?
This is going to be tough. The American trade war is going to hurt the Canadian economy and is going to hurt all of us. What our government needs to make sure we're doing is try to make sure that nobody goes hungry and that everyone carries their share of this. And that's a hard thing to do, but that's where we're leaning in, both as a federal government and with provinces and territories on responses to be there for Canadians.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Merci.
That concludes today's press conference.
All right. That was great. Thank you, Justin, very much for that. I want to actually read something to you. I think this is what I want to read to you. All right. I know it's Yahoo Finance. Yahoo is fucking stupid as fuck, but whatevs. All right. I want to read this to you because I fear, well, it's not that I fear. It's like I'm trying to understand what the end goals could be. And that's just my own morbid curiosity, I guess. I don't know if there's anything, that can be done about it. Presidential term limits are constitutional. Are they voting on a constitutional amendment? I'm just not sure. Has there been an actual something submitted? I know. Thank you for protesting, Iggy. Love you. I support anything the Canadian government does in defense of this tariff war, even if it hurts us. Well, I mean, this is the thing. I understand the response. I mean, I just don't know how else it can be avoided. And frankly, it might drive more people into the streets if the price of their Slurpee goes up, or or whatever. So I don't know. I just think that, yeah, next we're going to be, I mean, this is just getting really fucking weird, you guys. This is getting really fucking weird. And that doesn't mean we're not going to be okay. It just means we have to kind of intake information. So in the interest of intaking information, I want to talk about why the trade wars make some more sense in the context of what this, yeah, there has to be a response. You're absolutely right. My damn Slurpee is already $5. God damn it. I love my Coke Slurpee. Anyway, and my 7-Eleven hot dog. Don't take my 7-Eleven hot dog. Just don't, okay? Anyway, it appears that there's a scenario that is described under this term Mar-a-Lago Accord in which the US doesn't participate in international trade unless we're exporting. And it's isolationist. It's all the things. Let me see if I can find Dome Watch and see if they're voting on something that we need to keep an eye on. Hold on. Do 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 do. Here's Dome Watch. Come on, bitches. Bitches. Oh God, Doug Ford speaking. Blech. Blech. Doug Ford. Blech. Blech. Last night I said to my kid that multiple veterans are asking people outside of the U.S. to not vacation here or buy American products. Many of these veterans have been officers. Many were enlisted. That's amazing, Oren. I was looking at someone saying something to Max. Max, he will be just Andy Ogle's. The 22nd Amendment proposal. But they're not, there's no vote on that, right? Hold on. Let me just pull up Dome Watch in case there's something happening. I don't see a live right now for floor proceedings, so doesn't seem like there's anything being actively discussed. But here is on video. Oh, it was about a week ago. Oh, sorry. Okay. Consider, are we the baddies if American veterans are publicly stating that? That's for sure. Well, I think that question, our administration is the baddies. Yeah, Doug Ford needs to shut up all the way. All right, I'm just going to quickly read this to you. And again, I don't, this is not apparently a done deal, but it is a window into the thought process of this administrazione. So, from Yahoo Finance, Wall Street can't stop talking about the Mar-a-Lago Accord. Here's how the currency deal would work. A theory about how the Trump administration could restructure the international financial system to better serve American interest is starting to be taken seriously on Wall Street. Once considered an outlandish idea, the so-called Mar-a-Lago Accord has recently drawn the attention of strategists and researchers across major banks and research shops and Lolo. Boop, 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 bah. Yeah, okay. In reports shared with MarketWatch, they have tried to work through the feasibility of such a deal and how it might impact markets and their clients. Bleep, bleep. Well, you're not going to. Okay. President Dump hasn't given any hint that he's pursuing or plans to pursue such a framework, which supporters have described as nothing less than a reordering of the international monetary system. But, and there's a big but, at least two of the president's top economic advisors, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and Stephen Moran, Trump's nominee to be chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. So just two small roles within the realm of the economics of the government, have hinted that it could help the administration achieve some of its ambitions, particularly regarding a reduction of the U.S. debt burden and a revival of American manufacturing. Make coal great again. Bessent has reportedly said he would push for some kind of global economic reordering, according to the Wall Street Journal. So, a hack paper, Joe's Journal. Take it seriously, not literally, said Jim Bianco, founder of Bianco Research, in a post on X discussing the accord. What is the Mar-a-Lago Accord? Essentially, the deal would seek to recruit or strong arm by dangling access to American markets or the American security umbrella, America's biggest trading partners and creditors into an arrangement that would see them work in concert to weaken the U.S. dollar, lower American borrowing costs, and encourage more manufacturing-related investment in the U.S., all while preserving the greenback's primacy on the international stage. The main focus of the deal is the dollar DXY, although the greenback has softened since the start of the year, and it's down today. Less than a percentage point, but down, or less than a whatever. Although the greenback has softened since the start of the year, it is still trading around its strongest level since the mid-1980s on a trade-weighted basis, according to Steve Englander, the global head of G10 currency research at Standard Chartered. And so, let's see. It says January 26, real trade-weighted U.S. dollar is just below Plaza Accord level. Okay, so this is a picture from 73 to 23. So 50 years. Over 50 years, the trade-weighted U.S. dollar. And this is where we are now. So it's coming up to, all right, interesting. All right, so that. But the exact mechanics behind how the accord would work are murky, and questions remain about whether Dump could actually succeed in getting both American allies like the Europeans and rivals like China to go along with it. What problem would the Mar-a-Lago Accord solve? As Miron explained in a paper published in November, the U.S. dollar's reserve status comes with pros and cons. One of the drawbacks is that it causes the greenback to be perpetually overvalued by boosting demand for reserve assets like U.S. debt. There are benefits, too. But as U.S. economic dominance wanes, the costs associated with this status grow increasingly steep, Miron said. This is what the Mar-a-Lago Accord would solve. How would it work? To put into action, Dump would need to secure commitments from American trade partners and creditors that they would work in concert to weaken the dollar. But he would also need to ensure that the selling of dollar-denominated reserves wouldn't push up borrowing costs. So interest rate rises. There is also another complicating factor. Tariffs have already been enacted by the Trump administration, which has touted them as a source of revenue and a tool to helping boost U.S. manufacturing. But raising tariffs also tends to cause a currency to strengthen. Rather than encouraging more companies to manufacture goods in the U.S., this could have the opposite effect. To accomplish the delicate balancing act of engineering a weaker dollar without driving up U.S. borrowing cost, Moran, in his paper, turned to an idea first proposed by Zoltan Pojar, the former Credit Suisse markets guru and founder of research boutique Ex Uno Plures, who published a paper about the Mar-a-Lago Accord back in June. I just want to bookmark that. As part of the deal, U.S. creditors would agree to swap U.S. bonds held by their central banks for 100-year non-tradable century bonds. Otherwise, Washington could threaten to push them out from under the U.S. security umbrella. These bonds wouldn't carry a coupon, but they could be redeemed at a slight premium once they mature. Okay, hear me. These are not interest-bearing bonds. So you don't get interest payments, which is a typical bond arrangement. You basically wait till they mature, and that's in 100 years. Which, if entities are buying it, they could make that long-range plan. But to compensate creditors for the lack of liquidity, because you have to sit on them for 100 years, you can't sell them. Fed swap lines would be made available to help them meet any short-term liquidity needs. So I imagine the Fed swap is when the Fed steps in to help meet short-term liquidity, like help with assets under management, I guess. It seems to me a good way to kill some banks. or some, creditors or whatever. I don't know who the U.S. creditors, I don't know exactly who that includes, but we could look that up. Yeah, he is. He's breaking the umbrella. He's snapping it in half. It's interesting because I don't hear any pundit. Well, of course, I don't watch like CNN or MSNBC, but I really don't hear like the pundits on his side of this saying too much at the moment. I mean, I understand, like Lindsey Graham goes out there and says, "This is great. You guys are crazy." And then we look at him and say, "You're an idiot." Okay, these bonds wouldn't carry a coupon, but they could be redeemed at a slight premium once they mature to compensate creditors for lack of liquidity, blah, 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 blah. The Fed's going to help. Such a Mar-a-Lago Accord gives form to a 21st century version of a multilateral currency agreement. I don't know what that is. President Trump will want foreigners to help pay for the security zone. Oh, so it's extortion. Okay, I get it. Okay. We're basically going to be like a mercenary force. That's great. I love it. No, I don't. What the hell? A reduction in the value of the dollar helps create manufacturing jobs in America and reallocates aggregate demand from the rest of the world to the U.S., he added. That doesn't seem like that. That seems like one of those trickle-down things. That's what it seems like. What did Val say? I'm tempted to ask Lee says, I'm tempted to ask my advocacy group in D.C. about the Mar-a-Lago Accord and see what they come back with. I would be interested because I'm seeing a lot. And now, granted, my algorithm's probably skewed. I know. And you know what, Oren? I feel like his handlers and the donors are just kind of sitting back going, well, this is great. Val, you didn't have to do that. Oh, my God. Wait, I need to move this. Oh, damn. I'm going to do it again. Hold on. I got to fix it. You're so kind. Oh, my God. We got to play you a song. Huh? Oops. Wait, that's not a song. Rockin' round the lounge, shutting the fascists down, boy. Finding the facts so fast. We make the fun times last at Lolo's Lounge. Lolo's Lounge. The best damn friends in the whole damn town. I know. This makes me happy. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do. I know. Wait. I might be able to do that. Shutting the fascists down. Hold on. Finding the facts so fast. We make the fun times last. At Lolo's Lounge. Lolo's Lounge. The best damn friends in the whole damn town. You're so kind, Val. I'll find a way to give Oren a membership in your name, so no worries. And let me just I just want to move one thing. Hold on. And then I'm going to continue with this nightmare that is our lives now. I don't know about the nightmare that is our lives. Why? Why? Why is this nightmare our lives? Why? Where's my fucking little thing here? I don't know where the little thing is. Where's the thing? Excuse me. Excuse me, everybody. Where's my alert? Okay. Thank you so much, Val. You're so kind. I can't wait to see you. I gotta plan I got your thing. I got your message, your text, and I'm gonna just figure out like specifics, right? And then I will respond. All right, I want to do this again because it was so cute. Isn't that cute? Aw, Val. Aw. I know. I don't know how to gift a membership. I don't know. Can you make my name black as my soul? Absolutely, Carla. I wonder if you can make it. I see people do all kinds of creative shit with their things. Lee, it was so great hearing from you last night. I love Lee. Aw. Lee, I love you so much. I love all of you. You guys are so great. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting a little softy. Lolo, is the Mar-a-Lago Accord info in Discord? I'd like to have it. Oh yeah, I'll send. You know what? I'll put like a couple of links to the key documents that I think are decent sources. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the gift membership is unfortunately random, but Oren, I think I can figure it out. So don't. Lee was talking in spaces. I know I didn't simulcast it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's really my kind of like inability to multitask. And it's a me thing. I'm very sorry. I'm going to get better at that. I promise. I promise. All right. Let's continue with this, and then I'm still keeping an eye on the news. I think no, you do not drone on. No, you actually share incredibly insightful information that helps dispel misunderstandings, and so please, I'm so grateful that you are there. Like it's crazy. I know, Max. Oh, that's right. You've been suspended. I forgot. You are one of the Twitter political prisoners. Political prisoners. Yeah, exactly. I love it. It's really kind to share that expertise. Everyone does that. I love it. It's a recording. There's a recording. Maybe I could play the record. You know what? I could probably play the recording someday in Discord soon. Yeah, that space is recorded. So we could probably play that for people that can't access or don't want to access Twitter, which I completely understand, by the way. Okay, here we go. Okay, so just reading this again. A reduction in the value of the dollar helps create manufacturing jobs in America and reallocates aggregate demand from the rest of the world to the U.S., he added. The term out of reserve debt helps prevent financial market volatility. Okay, that kind of makes sense. If you can't trade something, you can't create. Can such recordings be downloaded and edited? I wonder. I bet you we could. No, I understand. I think that's a good idea, especially when we have people speaking on certain things. Oh, X cancel doesn't support. Oh, that's stupid. Let's see. The term out of reserve debt helps prevent financial market volatility and the economic damage that would ensue. Multiple goals are accomplished with one agreement. This is interesting because it basically says we're just going to lock you in and you can't sell it, which is why if there's no secondary market, there's no volatility. Moran also proposed charging user fees to foreign central banks that hold U.S. debt, essentially retaining a portion of the coupon payments typically paid out by the Treasury on the debt that we hold with foreign central banks, I should say, and easing the financial costs of borrowing. So basically, we rebate ourselves by coming up with a user fee. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Lee Iguana says, it was so great to talk to you, Lee. Thanks for answering my silly questions. And Lee says, Iguana, not silly. The answer I wanted to give is CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, or Protection, isn't going to chase down the de minimis cheats. We were talking about de minimis trade, tariff levels. Spend $200 in manpower to recover $20 in tariff. The drug targeting is huge. CBP reports daily. Oh, interesting. All right. Another idea that could be part of the Mar-a-Lago deal framework, using U.S. assets. Oh, what? Using U.S. assets like American gold reserves. Gold is up today, by the way. And federally owned land, which he's already talked about, to potentially collateralize U.S. debt. That could also help lower U.S. borrowing costs, according to Bianco, who brought up this possibility during a recent podcast appearance. He noted that Trump's executive order to explore creating a U.S. sovereign wealth fund. I hate being accidentally right. Could be a step toward making this happen. What are the risks? Oh, I don't know. Let's find out. Even if Trump could secure the cooperation of foreign governments to help weaken the dollar, establishing the Mar-a-Lago Accord could come with some unintended consequences. Or are they? Or are they? By strong-arming U.S. partners into a deal that primarily benefits Washington and the American economy, not the consumer, it could motivate them to speed up their search for a substitute for the dollar. Could that be like the blockchain or something? Where you can hide a bunch of money? Is that what it is? Is that what we're doing? That could threaten the greenback's reserve status, which Trump has said he would like to preserve. Well, he says a lot of things that he doesn't mean. It could also inadvertently push up U.S. bond yields and by extension, which means we have to pay out more, by the way, as a government. And by extension, borrowing costs as foreign buyers demand more compensation to offset the possibility that lending to the U.S. could come with new strings attached. Standard Chartered's Englander said. And there is always the risk that a weaker dollar could push up the price of U.S. imports, potentially stoking, oh, you guessed it, the price of eggs. I'm not laughing, I'm crying. It just sounds like laughing. Yes, these deep mines bound to be plagued by unintended consequences. Yeah, I'm sure it keeps them awake at night. Some of the deal's aims appear to work at cross purposes. No shit. No shit. Are you kidding me? One example would be engineering a weaker dollar while encouraging more foreign direct investment into the U.S. Another would be encouraging foreign partners to sell off dollar-denominated assets to weaken the currency without driving up borrowing costs. Is there a world where this becomes, if that's collateralized, let's say land, for example, is that potentially a way to create that network state environment, like almost like a lease agreement on land? I don't know. Now my mind's going a little crazy and I'm a little high. Okay. Despite this, Englander said the plan as envisioned by Mirren could work. Can it work? Sure, it can work. He said, will it work? That will depend on whether Trump has the political capital. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Ex uno plurus. Money and world order. Oh, wait. We've got to do some dramatic reading here. Hold on. This thing is fucking impossible. Let's see. What is this? What the hell? I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to reject them all. You guys are bitches. Wait a minute. Why are you so big and not letting me? That's too big, I guess. Oops. They're coming for me, everybody. No. Wow, it just isn't going to let me unless I make it super small. Okay, so this is the... this is ex uno... Wait, I can't remember which guy worked for ex uno plurus. Which one worked for ex uno plurus? Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, this is a rabbit hole, and welcome to my rabbit hole. Okay, here we go. To accomplish the delicate balancing act of engineering a weaker dollar without driving U.S. borrowing costs, Moran in his paper, this is Moran's paper, turned to an idea first proposed by this Credit Suisse guy and founder of research boutique Ex Uno Plurus, who so this is Zoltan's paper, right? This is about this is Zoltan's paper about the, okay, well, this is the one I want. A monetary, pincer. What? No way. Oh, no, bitch. No, bitch. No, bitch. No, bitch. Peace, bok choy, and Kissinger's ghost. What the fuck? Who are these people? I can't even stop. Oh my God, I can't. These are some fucking incels. Am I right, man? This is some incel shit. I'm going to make myself a website. Can I see your people or do I have to log in? Ah, Zoltan! 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 Oh, trust me, I'm your banker. Zoltan, I want to weaken your dollar. How do I get out? I can't even get out of Zoltan. Holy shit. Let me go. Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. Dude. Anyway, that's Zoltan. Wait, is there no more people? Wait, you said people. You should have said person. This should be person. Okay? Sorry, let's make this bigger. This should be person. Oh, jeez, what a shitty website. God, can you build a website, sir? Your GUI is pathetic. Zoltan. Motherfucker. Oh my God. Oatmeal. Oatmeal. I'm going to have oatmeal. Wait, what are we eating? Trump economy. He's not doing anything to make the economy better for the American people. He's not. He wants it to get bad. He doesn't give a shit. That's why I'm focused on this fucking Mar-a-Lago Accord. Not because it's exactly the plan, but because it gives you an idea of what's in these motherfuckers' heads and what is possible. I mean, God, ooh, pancakes and smoked meat? Hell yeah. Tuesday for all who celebrate. We're having French toast and bacon. Oh my God, that sounds so good. I'm going to go eat something, I think. Let's see. What do I have today? I think I have more stuff for us. I know we're not finishing one of the things. I feel like a real lack of completion, but I have to pace myself. Otherwise it just won't go well. But let me see what I have on the schedule. What do I have on the schedule? Because I know I have something set for 11 a.m. What is it? What am I doing? What hell am I dragging you into? Let me see. Oh, legislative reforms to end lawfare by state and local prosecutors. That is at... Wait, when's it start? Oh, 73 minutes. 11. Okay. So I'm going to be coming back at 11. Yeah, we eat well here. I'm going to be coming back at 11 for this little piece of shit. Which is basically going after prosecutors. More Jim Jordan. So I'm coming back at 11 a.m. Pacific, 73 minutes. And what was I going to say? And then here's the thing. It is Taco Tuesday. I think that's a great idea. I am going to go ahead and get... Oh, Muskie! Tom was gifted a membership. CKM was gifted a membership. Adriana! Kim! Yay! And Janelle. Hi, Janelle. How are you? So I'm going to come back at 11 a.m., which is in 72 minutes. And then rather than watch the resident address to Congress... Thank you. I need to play you a song, Muskie. I'm going to do that. That's so kind. Oh, look, there they go. And then tonight I am going to go live during the fake speech, but we will not be watching the speech. I don't know what we're going to watch, but we're going to watch something other than the speech. Muskie! Oh, my Lord. Oren, you got a membership. Oh, Bonnie got a membership, and Isabella got a membership, and Ed TV Now got a membership. I haven't seen you in a while. Kimchi got a membership. If that's the real Kimchi, I'm about to die. That's a beautiful thing. Oh, you guys are so wonderful. Oh, Muskie. We need okay, what's a good song? Oh, look at everybody's getting their shit. Hold on, I want to find a good song. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I know. I have one. Here we go. This is for you, Muskie. Here, my shirt too. You're so kind. Muskie. So kind. You guys are all so kind. Not necessary, but always appreciated and put into the stream. I'm sorry. I don't know why it ended like that. I know. I just love that. That was something I and the millions of artists that make up AI back in the day when I was using AI for a lot more things. That was the song I had for the Trucker Convoy podcast that I did one episode of, and then I ended at the time. That was when "Don't Go to the Show Bye" passed, and I decided not to continue with that project. Didn't feel right. It felt just felt like going backwards, and it didn't feel right. All right, butterflies. Hey, here's the thing. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. And Lee, I'll get those links to you, and I'll probably drop them in Discord so everyone can get them. I'm coming back in an hour and 10, and then we will be live tonight as well. We will not be watching The Resident, but we will be watching something, and we'll be together. So if you need a respite, you can find us on YouTube tonight, and it will take the place of our documentary Tuesday, so I apologize. Oh, here we go. Fun. I like fun. Do you like fun? I like fun. Oh, this is great. I love it. This is a perfect way to end. Here we go. Hold on. Bloop. Bloop. I know. It sounds like it's not the perfect way to end, but I'll bet you it might be. Hold on. Let's see. Let's find out.
But what if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? But they okay. What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. But let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. But what if any...
Oh my God. I love that. Oh, oomph. Thank you. We needed that. That is fucking hilarious. That's the link up right there that oomph dropped for that amazing mockery. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, I love you guys. I will see you in about an hour. Okay. If you're around, if you're not, I understand, you can only have so much. This is 3.5 hours of me this morning is probably, for some people more than enough, but I do hope you come back. A phony scam by operation of logic could be a real thing. So true. Oh, right. That's true. A phony scam. Cause it's not a scam. It's real. Holy shit. Zoinks. Nothing ever disappears from the internet.
Never disappears from the internet. Nothing ever disappears.
Oh yeah, see PK Dick on Fake Fakes.
Nothing ever disappears from you. Nothing ever disappears from the internet.
All right. Nothing ever disappears from the internet. You heard it from Harry Hauser. Harry Howdy. Harry Hottie, who's celebrating because he's no longer considered a criminal. Okay. I'll see you in an hour. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Tuesday. PK Dick, P.K. Dick, the Philip K. Dick, the author. I'm amazed that I figured that in my mind. All right, I love you guys. Take care. Take it easy. Hang in there. It's going to be okay. I don't know how, but